Morning, everyone. I note that the hour has come and that a quorum of this city council is present. I'm asking for all members to take their seats, asking all visitors to please retire outside the rails, and I'm asking for all sidebar conversations to please be taken outside the council chambers. I'm asking all those present to please set your cell phones to silent and or vibrate. Giving our invocation this morning is the Honorable Reverend Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke, one of our own. Asking all guests and members to please stand.
The name of the Lord, the psalmist writes, is a strong tower. The righteous run in and they are saved. As we rise this morning, with breath in our bodies that you gave us, activity in our limbs that you gave us, clarity of mind and precision of speech that you gave us, ability to do anything that we venture to do today that you gave us. We invoke and we invite your presence into these proceedings. This, the people's work, that through it we might be reminded of the thread that brings us together, of the tie that actually binds us and makes us one. We confess that in this postmodern day and society in which we live, we have mostly rejected any sense of the common good, of a good and a great tradition, upon which to base a common humanity. And so we suffer. We repeat almost addictively the same patterns that produce and reproduce violence and suffering and emotional immaturity and low self-esteem and far too many premature deaths in our city. So inspire in us today a remembrance of that great Christian proclamation of which this season bears witness. Christus anesti. Christ is risen. And the need for healing and resurrection is great, and it is needed in every aspect of our living, that we might be what our mayor wishes us to be, what you wish us to be. One Philly, a united city. May it be so. In the name and the nature of the Christus we pray. And everybody said amen, 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 and amen. Thank you.
The next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, May 8th, 2025. The chair recognizes council member and deputy majority whip, Councilmember Cindy Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, May 8th, 2025 be approved.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, May 8th, 2025 stand approved. All those in favor will indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the journal is approved. The next order of business is request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Majority Leader Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of the majority, a leave of absence is requested for Council Member Dr. Anthony Phillips, Council Member Curtis Jones, and Council Member Lozada.
The chair thanks the Majority Leader. Leave will be granted. The chair recognizes Minority Leader Kendra Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. There are no requests for leaves of absence today.
The chair thanks the council member. The chair now recognizes Council Member Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council and that were not listed on the calendar circulated prior to today's council session.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council and as required by law, subsequently published on an amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, amendments to bills on first reading, the reconsideration of a bill vetoed by or recalled from the mayor, amendments to bills recalled from the mayor, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or resolution that is not on the calendar, and a motion placing a bill or resolution on or returning a bill or resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar. The purpose of this motion is to provide the public with notice concerning possible actions by council that arose too late to be included on the calendar that was published prior to today's session.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the legislative matters stated by Councilmember Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of this session of council. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. The chair will dispense with the regular order of business to recognize the guests and visitors joining us in chambers this morning. On behalf of all members of City Council, I welcome you to our council session. We appreciate you taking the time to join us as we attend to the legislative affairs of our great city. We certainly invite you to come again. In the balcony, we have students from the Revolution School civics class with their teacher, Joe Dankoff, located in the 2nd Councilmanic District. Can we have all our students please stand? Let's give them a round of applause. They are here today witnessing democracy in action. I also want to acknowledge former member, the Honorable Janie Blackwell, who's joining us today as well. Always a pleasure to see you, and as always, you are more than welcome back home into these chambers. The chair recognizes Councilman Jamie Gaultier.
Thank you, Council President. I want to recognize some special guests in the chamber today. We have 2 young women, Sonari Hudson and Abini Johnson from West Philadelphia. They have received straight A's throughout their whole high school career, and we want to recognize them for their accomplishments. Can you please stand?
Could they stand?
They're somewhere in here.
Straight A's.
Oh, they're being shy. And they are here with Tyree Williams, Dominic Walton, Amir Barber, and Tone Barr from the Brotherhood Foundation. And these are men in our community who are changing the narrative, supporting young people, and bringing a lot of positivity. Would you please stand as well?
Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilman Rue Landau, who will present a resolution honoring and recognizing and congratulating the Reinvestment Fund, a mission-driven community development financial institution committed to making communities work for all people on the occasion of its 40th anniversary. With the President and CEO, Don Henlell Brown, and those accompanying him, please join the council member at the podium. Joining Councilman Rue Landau will be the following city council members: Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson, Majority Whip Thomas, Minority Whip Brooks, Councilmember Jamie Gautier, Deputy Majority Whip Cindy Bass, and Councilmember Mark Squilla. And Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad.
This one? We're gonna leave this one. Let me see, where are you? Okay, here, you got the hands. Let's go. You start here, right? Hold on. No, I want to figure out. Okay.
Member Landau, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm proud today to recognize the Reinvestment Fund on their 40th anniversary. As a former tenant attorney and lifelong housing and civil rights advocate, I'm extremely honored to be the one presenting the Reinvestment Fund with an honorary resolution today. Since 1985, 40 years ago, the Reinvestment Fund has been a national leader in building stronger, more equitable communities through strategic investment and data-driven research. These efforts support the crucial needs that all communities need in order to prosper. Their work, investing in targeted and transformational projects, has helped millions of people across the country access critical services, stable housing, fresh food, and live healthier, more prosperous, and more successful lives. I've seen the ripple effect that disinvestment and redlining can have on low-income and minority communities throughout my career. But the work that the Reinvestment Fund does, local partnerships, building coalitions, studying the data and targeted financing solutions, these things aren't just a Band-Aid. This is the choice to reinvest in our city and make a lasting effect to create a better Philadelphia. Reinvestment Fund has transformed the landscape of affordable housing in Philly, having created, rehabilitated, and preserved over 1,000 homes. As a former housing attorney, I'm especially amazed at the work they've done in this sector. Beyond housing, they've also combated predatory lending, created access to healthy food, and supported education equity from early childhood all the way up to higher education. Reinvestment Fund was founded by visionary leaders, some of whom are here today, who are motivated by a deep love for Philadelphia and the kind of creative thinking that brings a new approach to reinvesting back into our city and turning the tide. I think those of us who are elected to City Council share these values with Reinvestment Fund. Over 4 decades, Reinvestment Fund has invested billions into our neighborhoods and positively impacted millions of lives. They've been a partner to City Council and to the administration over many years, and their research and leadership has further developed our understanding of the city we are serving. We commend Reinvestment Fund for the transformational leadership and tireless efforts to make communities work for all of us. Congrats on 40 years, and here's to 40 more of your incredible work. We're now going to read with my colleagues, we're going to read the resolution. So I'm going to get started. And it's right here. Whereas Reinvestment Fund was founded in 1985 in Philadelphia by civic leaders and community organizers, including Eva Gladstein, Pat Smith, and Joyce Wilkerson, and other dedicated and active community members and organizations such as the Bread and Roses Community Fund, Ann Dooley, Reverend Dick Fernandez, Andy Lamas, and Rudy Tolbert, who recognize the power of people to make change.
And whereas originally named the Delaware Valley Community Reinvestment Fund and rebranded as the Reinvestment Fund, TRF, in 1999, and as Reinvestment Fund in 2015, Reinvestment Fund has created economic opportunities for 40 years through strategic investment and data-driven research to support the essential needs that all communities need to thrive. And
whereas Jeremy Nowak was appointed as the first president and CEO, where he served from 1985 to 2011. Jeremy championed a mission that united school teachers and executives, a mission that also united with the faith-based organizations, philanthropy, banks, and government to invest in communities. And
whereas over the last 12 years, with the leadership of Donald Hinkle Brown, President and CEO, Reinvestment Fund has directed $500 million in financing and grants, generating $1.2 billion in projects supporting Philadelphia's needs for affordable housing, commercial real estate, community facilities, energy efficiency, and food access. And
whereas Reinvestment Fund has been actively involved in funding affordable housing in Philadelphia, with 1,050 housing units created, rehabilitated, acquired, or preserved from 2013 to 2025. Reinvestment Fund has played a key role in exposing and protecting low-income and minority homeowners, tenants, and communities from predatory lending practices, such as supporting the creation of the Appraisal Bias Task Force in 2021, the Residential Mortgage Foreclosure Diversion Program in 2008, serving as a key player in Philadelphia's anti-predatory lending efforts, where housing inequities have disproportionately affected low-income and minority communities, leading the creation of the City of Philadelphia's Market Value Analysis Assessment of Fair Housing, and supporting analysis of the city's property tax freeze for low-income homeowners. And
whereas Reinvestment Fund has prioritized food justice, recognizing that equitable access to fresh and healthy food is vital for community health, and supported the creation of 32 healthy food retail establishments in Philadelphia. And
whereas Reinvestment has partnered with the City of Philadelphia to support education equity for early years through higher education, supporting the expansion of high-quality early childhood education, ECE, opportunities through initiatives like the Fund for Quality, FQ, and the Early Childhood Education Loan Fund, assisting providers of high-quality education in creating or preserving over 39,500 child care seats, 9,000 K-12 seats, and 2,500 higher education seats across Philadelphia. And
whereas over 40 years of investment in Philadelphia, the region, and across the country, Reinvestment Fund has made transformational contributions to equity and community development. Reinvestment Fund has invested over $3 billion into neighborhoods, creating affordable homes, good schools for children, access to healthy food for families, and thriving businesses. Created more than 18,000 jobs alone between 2013 and 2025, and positively impacted more than 4.4 million people. Now, therefore, be it.
Resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that it hereby honors and recognizes and congratulates Reinvestment Fund on the occasion of its 40th anniversary for its partnership and investment to improve the City of Philadelphia. Further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to Reinvestment Fund as evidence of the sincere sentiments of this legislative body. Congratulations, guys.
Go ahead, the floor is yours, sir.
Thanks,
Thank
Don.
you.
Mr. Brown, CEO
Thank you
of the
very much.
Reinvestment Fund.
Thank you all so much. Founded in 1985, the Delaware Valley Community Reinvestment Fund could not have known just how important our relationship with Philadelphia would be in our development, growth, building expertise, and impact. We were founded and grew through 6 mayoral administrations and dozens of councilpersons' terms of service. Thank you, Councilperson Rolandra, for your thoughtfulness in this resolution, and thank you to all the council members who have voted in support of this resolution to celebrate our anniversary. I will let the resolution speak for the scale of our mutual impacts, for they are indeed not solo accomplishments. What I would like to thank the city, the mayor, and the council for is the long-lived, trusted relationship that we have forged over those years. It was here in Philadelphia that we learned that we could be an effective instrument of public policy. Affordable housing, community arts, education, sustainability were each areas that we learned here in the city of brotherly love. We collaborated with policymakers here, and we implemented investment strategies to further the community's political will. We took that idea and that we could be an instrument of furthering domestic policy, and we took it to Harrisburg, and we created the Fresh Food Financing Initiative. We took it to Trenton to create innovative affordable housing programs across New Jersey, and then we took it to Washington, D.C., where the Obamas asked us how to solve food access nationwide. Thank you for your continued support, and especially for your inclusion of Reinvestment Fund in your trusted relationships as you grapple with policy issues, the need for greater justice, and to deliver positive change for every Philadelphian. I'd like to introduce our board chair as well, who has a word from our board.
Thank you, Donna. Good morning, everyone. My name is Saul Bihar, and I have the privilege of serving as board chair at Reinvestment Fund. On behalf of the board, and we're joined here today by one of our board members, Phyllis Cater, who's here in the back. We want to thank Councilmember Landau and the other members of the City Council for this resolution. We really appreciate the recognition and support. I want to thank, in particular, Eva and Joyce and Pat and all the other founders who were instrumental in the creation of Reinvestment Fund. I want to thank in particular and pay honor to the memory of Jeremy Nowak, whose vision was instrumental and essential to the creation and growth of the organization. And I just want to close by saying that as proud as we are of our impact and our work over the past 40 years, we know that much work remains to be done. And so we are equally focused and energized on what we'll be doing over the next 40 years in terms of creating partnerships and supporting and investing in the work of this city and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. Council will be at ease. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilmember Jamie Gaultier, who will present a resolution honoring Philadelphia Police Inspector Verdell Johnson for his retirement and years of service. Would Inspector Verdell Johnson and those accompanying him please join the council member at the podium? Let's give Philadelphia Finance a round of applause, y'all. Joining Councilmember Jamie Gaultier will be Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad, Councilmember Mark Squilla, Councilmember Rue Landau, and Councilmember O'Neill. And this presentation is done on my behalf for Mr. Verdell Johnson, who I've known for many years for his hard work and dedication to keeping not only the city of Philadelphia safe, but also the cadets who become Philadelphia police officers. He's done a great job in training and making sure they are more than qualified to serve our great city. Councilman Jamie Gaultier, the floor is yours.
Honoring Inspector Verdell Johnson for his retirement and years of service from the Philadelphia Police Department.
Whereas Inspector Johnson, a lifelong resident of Southwest Philadelphia, received an associate's degree in nursing from Community College of Philadelphia and a bachelor's degree in health sciences from Westchester University, and
whereas following his education, Inspector Johnson served in the United States Marine Corps, receiving an honorable discharge after rising through the ranks to a sergeant, and
whereas, after completing the police academy in 1989, Inspector Johnson worked extensively throughout Philadelphia, holding several progressively responsible leadership positions in the Philadelphia Police Department, and
whereas during his impressive career, Inspector Johnson has worked for the Philadelphia Police Department in various leadership roles, most recently as the commanding officer of the Recruitment Background Investigation Divisions since January 2023, after serving as the commander of the Training and Education Service Division from March 2017 to January 2023, and
whereas Inspector Johnson's current role is his third command since being promoted in November 2012, with his first being the commander of Southwest Police Division, and
whereas in 2003, the Philadelphia Police Department recognized Inspector Johnson for heroic actions by awarding him the Medal of Valor, the department's most prestigious medal for an active officer. You don't get better than that. Whereas Inspector Johnson, if you've ever been in this man's company, he's the real deal. Whereas Inspector Johnson exemplifies service at its highest level, inspiring Philadelphia's future leaders in law enforcement. Now therefore be it.
Resolved that the Council of the City of Philadelphia and Westchester University grads everywhere honors Inspector Verdell Johnson for his retirement and years of service for the Philadelphia Police Department. Let's give him a round of applause.
The chair recognizes Inspector Verdell Johnson for remarks.
Wow, I even get to say some words. I want to thank you, Council President. I want to thank you, council members, on this gracious honor. I never would have thought in 1988 this little skinny kid from Southwest Philadelphia would be standing before you today. So I want to thank God for bringing me to this point. I also want to, since I'm in front of City Council, want to thank y'all because the last 2 years in recruitment, everyone knows there's a shortage of cops throughout the country.
So in our last 2 years, with the help of City Council, they gave us some money. So money helps, money helps. So the first time in the history of the police department, we now have a marketing firm that's helping us recruit officers. Last year, we hired 369 police officers. And that's the most amount of officers we hired since 2017. So we're going to help the mayor with her goal of making this a cleaner, greener, safer city, because we're going to continue to recruit. This year, we anticipate hiring over 400 officers. So they're going to keep working. I laid the foundation, and it's going to keep building that house. We're going to get this city will be much safer. Trust me, we're going to work hard at that. When they told me about this recognition, I had a choice between May 15th and May 29th. I chose May 15th because most of you don't know this, but this is Police Week. This is Police Week. So on today in Washington, D.C., on the steps of the Capitol, they will call every officer who was killed in the line of duty last year. They will call their names. Oftentimes, the president will speak. Sadly, we have one officer, Sergeant Jamie Roman, that was killed in the 25th District last year. His name will be called. What I hope for moving forward, City Council, is somewhere around during this Police Week, y'all bring in some Philadelphia police officers. I pray that it be decades before we have to put another Philadelphia police officer on that wall, and just bring them in during Police Week and just say thank you. So if you see a cop, just say thank you, thank you, thank you, because this is Police Week. It's a very hard job we do, but we do it and we do it well. And as we continue to partner with City Council, I know this city will be much safer. Part of, when they read my bio, they talked about when I was in Southwest Police Division. And during that time, I had Councilwoman Blackwell. She was out there with me. And we had great numbers. For us, we had 49 homicides. We're always judged by our numbers. That year, 2014, was the least amount of homicides in the city of Philadelphia in over 40 years. But guess what? This year, we're topping those year's numbers. Yes. We're topping those numbers this year. So let's keep working together, City Council. And before I close, I just want to have a moment of silence, like I said, for all those officers that lost their life last year. Thank you.
Members stand, please. Everyone stand.
Just thank you so much. And don't forget, it's Police Day, so thank an officer. Thank you.
Council, be at ease. At this time, the chair recognizes Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson, who will present a resolution on my behalf honoring the 50th anniversary of Odun Day, the largest African American street festival in the United States, and its impact on African American heritage, culture, and community. Will Bumi Fernandez West and those accompanying her please join Councilmember Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson at the podium. And y'all can clap, go ahead. Somebody else ready to clap. And joining Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson is Dr. Anina Ahmad, Councilmember Mark Squilla, Councilmember Rue Landau, Councilmember Harity, and Councilmember Jamie Gaultier.
Well, greetings and good morning. It's certainly our humble honor and privilege to present this resolution to the Bumi Fernandez West for her continued hard work on the largest African American street festival in the United States of America. Let's give that a round of applause. And we are honored to have here with us on this 50th anniversary, not only Bumi Fernandez West, but we have her husband and children here with us this morning. So today, on behalf of Council President Kenyatta Johnson, we present a resolution honoring the 50th anniversary of Odun Day, the largest African American street festival in the United States of America, and its impact on African and African American heritage, culture, and community.
And as somebody who's a huge fan of Odun Day and tries to go every year, whereas since the first Odun Day organized in 1975 by Lois Fernandez and Ruth Arthur, the festival has become the largest and most influential African American festival in the United States, taking place in a 16-block area with 2 stages of live entertainment and
whereas Odun Day plays a pivotal role in celebrating African culture, fostering pride in African heritage, and promoting cultural exchange through performances, music, food, and arts. And
whereas the festival started as a small neighborhood event and now brings hundreds of thousands of individuals, including international participants from African nations, the Caribbean, and Brazil, to share in the presentation, which has become a national model for cultural street festivals in the United States. And
whereas Odun Day serves as a platform to bring together many internationally known performers, dignitaries, folk artists, and cultural leaders, and significantly contributes to the economic and cultural development of our region. And
whereas Odun Day has made significant contributions to educational initiatives, community empowerment, and the preservation of African and African American history, inspiring individuals of all ages and backgrounds to embrace and celebrate the coming of another year. And
whereas the 50th anniversary of Odun Day marks an extraordinary milestone in its history, reflecting its enduring legacy of celebration, unity, and cultural pride, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that we hereby honor the 50th anniversary of Odun Day, the largest African American street festival in the United States, and its impact on African and African American heritage, culture, and community.
The chair recognizes CEO of Odun Day, Ms. Bumi Fernandez West.
First of all, I want to give thanks to God and all the Orishas and ancestors who allowed me to be here today. As we celebrate 50 years, I was strapped to my mother's back at the first Odun Day. And I remember people laughing at my mom, telling my mom, oh, they'll never let you walk down South Street. They'll never let you have a festival there. And we have survived because of God. That is it. That is it. No, there's no one single person. There's not one single entity. Only God is the reason why Odunde has survived 50 years. Let that sit in. A half a century. Do you know any other African American street festival in the city of Philadelphia that has lasted that long? We have a $28 million economic impact on the city of Philadelphia, a $30 million economic impact on the state of Pennsylvania. We generate over $700,000 in tax revenue in a 10-hour period. No other cultural festival has those numbers. You can call Steve Mullen of eConsulting Solutions, and he can confirm everything I'm saying to you right now. I want to give a special thank you to Mayor Parker. I want to give a special thank you to Council President Kenyatta Johnson. We are in his district. My mother came to me in a dream. She said, Boomy, it's 10 toes down was a person, Kenyatta Johnson is it. Because behind closed doors, Boomy, he is fighting for you. It's very easy to get on this microphone and say how much you love Boomy and how much you love Odunde. But if you're not helping us financially to keep my mother's legacy alive, and if I stand here today with my son, who's the new COO of Odunde at 20 years old, okay? Yes. This is legacy here. This is legacy here. I need you to understand this. This is legacy. This is not Boomy. This is not no ego. This is legacy. I thank my husband because these last couple weeks is hard. I've been getting on his last nerve. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you to my 5 children here. I want them to see it because they see all the hours I put in, and I want them to see what hard work looks like. My daughter, I want to see what it looks like. Her and my son, they lost their mother and father. My best friend died 3 years ago. Said, Boomy, please take care of my children. I work hard because every day they get up and they put a smile on their face, and they put their uniforms on and they go to school. They will never see their mother and father again. So I need you to understand what it looks like. I love you, Sienna. I love you, Adrian. Thank you. This is Bio and Anthony. They always a team here. I thank you, City Council. I thank you for supporting Odunde. All of you. Thank you to all of them. To everyone who comes and attends Odunde, we survive because of you. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Council will be at ease. The next order of business is communications. The chair requests that the Sergeant at Arms deliver the messages from the mayor to the chief clerk. Will the chief clerk please read the messages from the mayor and any other communications in her possession?
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, I am pleased to advise you that on May 14th, 2025, I signed the following bills which were passed by Council at its session on May 1st, 2025. 250207, 250242, 250243, and 250244. And I am submitting herewith for the consideration of your honorable body the following proposed ordinance. An ordinance approving the fiscal year 2026 capital budget providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, and acknowledge the receipt of the revised forecast of capital budgets for fiscal years 2027 through 2031, all under certain terms and conditions. And an ordinance approving the amendment of the fiscal year 2025 capital budget, providing for the expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions, and acknowledging the receipt of the revised forecast of capital budgets for fiscal years 2026 through 2030 as amended. And an ordinance authorizing and approving the execution and delivery of a service agreement between the City of Philadelphia and the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority relating to the financing of a Housing Opportunities Made Easy home plan, which includes housing production and preservation, home affordability, homeowner and renter assistance, related contractor training and support, blight and vacant property reduction, urban beautification, neighborhood infrastructure, and other related programs. Approving the issuance by the authority of bonds, notes, or other evidences of indebtedness, including the reimbursement of obligations related to lines or letters of credit, and one or more of a series to finance or refinance such plan, and authorizing approving the obligation of the City of Philadelphia to pay in full when due the service fee and other amounts payable under the service agreement, authorizing certain city officers to take certain actions required to issue such bonds, notes, or other evidences of indebtedness, covenanting that the City of Philadelphia will make necessary appropriations in each of the city's fiscal years to provide for and make timely payments of the service fee and other amounts due under the service agreement, and authorizing and approving the Director of Finance of the city and other city officials to take the necessary or appropriate actions to effectuate the purposes of this ordinance, all under certain terms and conditions. And an ordinance constituting the 28th supplemental ordinance to the restated General Water and Wastewater Revenue Bond Ordinance of 1989 as supplemented, authorizing the bond committee to issue and sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable water and wastewater revenue bonds and revenue refunding bonds, authorizing agreements to provide credit enhancement or payment or liquidity sources or any combinations of the foregoing for such bonds, providing that such bonds shall bear interest at fixed or variable rates, determining the sufficiency of pledged project revenues, authorizing the Director of Finance to take certain actions with regard to the sale of such bonds, the investment of the proceeds thereof, and the city's continuing disclosure obligations with respect to such bonds, setting forth the use of proceeds of such bonds, covenanting the payment of interest and principal, supplementing the restated General Water and Wastewater Revenue Bond Ordinance of 1989, and specifying the applicability of sections of the First-Class City Revenue Bond Act and the restated General Water and Wastewater Revenue Bond Ordinance of 1989. And an ordinance authorizing an increase in the non-electoral indebtedness of the city within the Pennsylvania constitutional limit, authorizing the bond committee to sell bonds at a public or private negotiated sale, to provide funds towards various capital municipal purposes, providing for appropriations to the Sinking Fund Commission for the payment of such bonds, and authorizing agreements to provide credit or payment or liquidity sources for the bonds in connection with the issuance of bonds and certain other actions. And an ordinance authorizing the transfer of certain property and property held by certain city-related agencies to end users in support of the Mayor's Housing Opportunities Made Easy home initiative under certain terms and conditions. And an ordinance authorizing the Director of Planning and Development on behalf of the city to file applications with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for a community block grant, to file applications to participate in the Home Investment Partnership Program and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and to apply for Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS grant, and to file applications with the Commonwealth to obtain grants under the Act of April 12, 1956, PL 1449, Section 4 is amended. To prevent and eliminate blight, authorizing the Director of Planning and Development and the Director of Commerce to file applications to obtain other grants from the Commonwealth, authorizing the Director of Commerce to use Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program, and authorizing the Director of Planning and Development and the Director of Commerce to enter into all understandings and assurances contained in such applications, and to take all necessary action to accept the grants, all under certain terms and conditions. There are no further communications in my possession, Council President.
Thank you. The messages from the mayor will be printed in the journal. The next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions. The chair recognizes Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Today, I offer 3 bills on your behalf, 1 bill on behalf of Councilmember Ketsi Lozada, and 2 resolutions on your behalf, 1 privileged and 1 non-privileged.
Thank you very much. Will the Chief Clerk read the title of the bills and resolutions?
Just one second. An ordinance renaming the Wissinoming Recreation Center to the Margaret Tartaglione Recreation Center to honor the life and legacy of Margaret Marge Tartaglione, a pioneering public servant and leader in Philadelphia's politics.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance calling for the creation of a special committee on early childhood development to evaluate, support, and strengthen Philadelphia's early childhood care and education systems with the goal of improving outcomes for children from birth through age 5 and addressing the broader issues of poverty, equity, and economic opportunity.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance approving the fiscal year 2026 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, and acknowledging receipt of the revised forecast of capital budgets for fiscal years 2027 through 2031, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
An ordinance approving the amendment of the fiscal year 2025 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions, and acknowledging the receipt of the revised forecast of capital budgets for fiscal years 2026 through 2030 as amended.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance authorizing an increase in the non-electoral indebtedness of the city within the Pennsylvania constitutional limit, authorizing the bond committee to sell bonds at private or public negotiated sale to provide funds towards various capital municipal purposes, providing for appropriations to the Sinking Fund Commission for the payment of such bonds, and authorizing agreements to provide credit or payment or liquidity sources for the bonds in connections with the issuance of bonds and other certain actions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a non-privileged resolution confirming the appointment of Ryan McAdams to serve on the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
This resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration the next session of council. Council will be at ease. This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
I only have one resolution. I only had one.
Oh, you only have one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please resume.
That's all from Catherine. Yeah. Did you want to see what?
Council will be at ease.
It was non-privileged. I didn't see a privileged resolution. All right. Okay. Just let you know. Okay. We're good? Okay. We're good. Councilwoman Gauthier is next. That's all for Councilwoman.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jamie Gauthier.
Good morning, Council President. Today I have 3 bills on your behalf.
Thank you very much. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the bills?
An ordinance amending Section 14-802 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Motor Vehicle Parking Ratios by removing residential parking ratio minimums for the CMX-4 and CMX-5 zoning districts, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning by revising and clarifying certain provisions and making technical changes, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning for the creation of the new zoning district entitled RTA-2, Residential 2-Family Attached, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. The chair recognizes Councilmember Isaiah Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to the listening public. Today I have one bill and one resolution. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the bill and resolution?
An ordinance amending Section 9-4103 of the Philadelphia Code relating to promoting healthy families and workplaces to provide that employees covered by a bona fide collective bargaining agreement are eligible for paid and unpaid leave, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia City Council Committee on Education to hold hearings to investigate challenges and make recommendations for a strategic plan for the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts.
This resolution will be placed on final passage calendar for consideration in the next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilman Rue Landau.
Good morning, Council President, colleagues, and public. Today, I have 4 privileged resolutions.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolutions?
A privileged resolution declaring May 21st, 2025 as Frank Kamini Day in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you very much. This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution recognizing May 28th as LGBTQ+ Domestic Violence Awareness Day, held globally every year to shed light on domestic, family, and intimate partner violence in the LGBTQ+ communities in the city of Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution declaring May 16th, 2025 as National Honor Our LGBTQ+ Elders Day in the city of Philadelphia, a day to recognize and celebrate the contributions of LGBTQ+ elders who have been pivotal in the fight for justice, equality, and rights for every member of the LGBTQ+ community.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution declaring 2025 as Pride Month in the city of Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, I offer 2 privileged resolutions, one of which is on your behalf, 2 non-privileged resolutions, and 2 bills.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the bills and resolutions?
An ordinance amending Section 9-213 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Farmers Markets by changing the boundaries of a permissible location on North 22nd Street, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance amending Section 10-810 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Weapons and Dangerous Devices by revising and clarifying unlawful weapons and dangerous devices and unlawful conduct and making technical changes, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a privileged resolution honoring the life and legacy of Kader Johnson, known professionally as LGBTQ, a Philadelphia rapper who used his platform to speak out against gun violence and became widely recognized as the voice of the youth.
Can we have a standing moment of silence? This was a young man known for the voice of the youth. Life was tragically taken, honoring his life and memory. This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution recognizing the month of May 2025 as National Foster Care Month in the city of Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming the 1900 block of North Judson Street as Sister Mary Scullion Way.
This resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at our next session of council.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming Firth Street between 15th Street and Sydenham Street as Earl Young Way.
This resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at our next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilmember Minority Leader Kendra Brooks.
Oh, thank you, Council President. I have one privileged resolution and one non-privileged.
Thank you very much. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the privileged and non-privileged resolutions?
A privileged resolution recognizing May as Lupus Awareness Month in the city of Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution calling on the federal government to maintain its antitrust litigation that would break up Meta's social media monopoly.
This resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at the next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilmember O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have one privileged resolution to introduce today.
Thank you very much. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the privileged resolution?
A privileged resolution honoring the election of Pope Leo the 16th as the 276th Pope and celebrating his connections to the Philadelphia area. 14th, I'm sorry. I'd be in trouble. Pope Leo the 14th, sorry.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The Chief Clerk please read the next resolution. Chair recognizes Councilmember Driscoll.
Morning, Mr. President. I have one bill, one privileged resolution, and one non-privileged resolution.
Thank you very much. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the bill and resolutions?
An ordinance continuing the Mayfair Business Improvement District beyond its termination date in an area that generally includes both sides of Frankfurt Avenue from the north side of Harbison Avenue to the south side of Sheffield Street and certain blocks of streets that intersect the portion of Frankfurt Avenue, approving a change of boundaries of the district that include 6700 Roland Avenue to the service area, approving a change of boundaries of the district to remove from the service area 4014 through 4034 Robin Street, as well as 3501 through 3539 Ryan Avenue, continuing the Business Improvement District, Incorporated, a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association for the district, approving a plan for and report concerning the district, authorizing the Director of Commerce on behalf of the city to execute an agreement with the Mayfair Business Improvement District, Inc., relating to the district, and reauthorizing the Mayfair Business Improvement District, Inc. to assess the property owners within the district a special property assessment fee used in accordance with the approved plan, all in accordance with the provisions of the Community and Economic Improvement Act and under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a privileged resolution recognizing May 2025 as Dual Asian American Pacific Islander and Jewish American Heritage Month in Philadelphia to pay tribute to the rich history and significant contributions made by generations of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders and Jewish Americans to our country, Commonwealth, and city.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution initiating action to continue the Mayfair Business Improvement District beyond its termination date in an area that generally includes both sides of Frankfurt Avenue from the north side of Harbison Avenue to the south side of Sheffield Street and certain blocks of streets that intersect that portion of Frankfurt Avenue, and for which Mayfair Business Improvement District, Inc., a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, serves as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association, approving a preliminary plan for and report concerning the district, and authorizing and directing the Committee on Rules and the Clerk of Council to take all actions that are required by the Community and Economic Improvement Act prior to the enactment of an ordinance that would formally establish the district.
This resolution will be placed on the final. This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. Chair recognizes Councilmember O'Neill.
Mr. President, I have for one bill.
Will the Chief Clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title 12 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Traffic Code to add provisions related to vehicle parking in front of a fire hydrant, to provide for the removal or immobilization of such vehicles and for other penalties, and to make related technical changes, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. I apologize. I want to acknowledge Councilmember Jim Harity.
I don't have nothing today, Council President. Thank you, my brother. I just figured you knew I didn't have anything.
You're welcome, sir. Just want to make sure I'm acknowledging you. The chair recognizes Councilmember Mark Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one bill and one non-privileged resolution.
Thank you very much. Will the Chief Clerk read the title of the bill and resolution?
An ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 762 South 9th Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19147, under certain terms and conditions.
This bill be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming 7th Street between Bigler Street and the Schuylkill Expressway, I-76, as SEYAA Way to honor the Southeast Youth Athletic Association.
This resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at our next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilmember Cindy Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I offer 2 bills and 2 non-privileged resolutions, one of which is co-authored with my colleague, Dr. Nina Ahmad.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the bills and resolutions?
An ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to acquire fee simple title or a lesser real estate interest in and to all or a portion of the properties known as 4368, 4370, 4372, and 4374 Germantown Avenue, all under certain terms and conditions.
Councilor be at ease. That bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to acquire fee simple title or a lesser real estate interest in and to all or a portion of the properties known as 1911, 1913, 1915, 1917, 1919, 1921, 1923, 1925, and 1927 Cayuga Street, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs to hold a hearing to explore strategies for incorporating youth voices in Parks and Recreation Advisory Councils and making decision processes.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution authorizing the Special Committee on Child Separation and the Committee on Health and Human Services to hold a joint hearing to investigate the recent provisional licensing status of the Philadelphia Department of Human Services and the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Services Center, and to examine the implications of alleged misconduct, breaches of confidential information, and overall child safety within Philadelphia's juvenile detention and child welfare systems.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad.
Thank you, Council President. I have 1 privileged resolution today.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing and celebrating the 2025 Philippine Independence Week celebration in Philadelphia, taking place from June 7th to June 21st.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The next order of business is reports. Councilor be at ease. Thank you, sir. Mr. Parliamentarian, kind of make sure we operating smoothly. You got me, Kathy? Follow parliamentarian procedures. The next order of business reports from committee. The chair recognizes Majority Leader Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for a report from the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee of the Whole reports out 5 resolutions with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the report?
The Committee of Whole, to which were referred the following resolutions. Resolution number 250403, Resolution appointing Chris Cullum to the Board of Directors of the Center City District. Resolution 250404, a resolution appointing Alan Dom to the Board of Directors of the Center City District. Resolution 250405, a resolution appointing Jim Pearlstein to the Board of Directors of the Center City District. Resolution number 250406, a resolution reappointing Carol Watson to the Board of Directors of the Center City District. And Resolution 250407, a resolution reappointing Tina Biles Williams to the Board of Directors of the Center City District, respectfully reports it has considered the same and returns the attached resolutions to Council with a favorable recommendation. There are no further resolutions to report out from the Committee of the Whole, Council President.
Thank you. These resolutions will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration at our next session of Council. The Chair recognizes Councilmember Young for a report from the Committee on Streets and Services.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Streets and Services reports out 11 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the report? That's 11 bills with a favorable recommendation. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. The Chair recognizes the Chief Clerk.
The Committee on Streets and Services, to which were referred the following bills. Bill number 250273, an ordinance amending Title 12 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Traffic Code to revise procedures for operation of an automated vehicle noise enforcement system and creating Section 12-1138 entitled Automated Vehicle Noise Enforcement. Bill number 250327, an ordinance authorizing an encroachment in the nature of a staircase in the vicinity of 5313 Haverford Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19139, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250367, an ordinance amending Section 2 of an ordinance, Bill number 180560, approved July 10th, 2018, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 250 by striking from the city plan and vacating the legally open portion of Montour Street from Adams Avenue to Folkrod Street under certain terms and conditions by extending the period for compliance with the terms and conditions stated therein. Bill number 250368, an ordinance authorizing an encroachment in the nature of planters and benches in the vicinity of 2300 Market Street, Philadelphia, PA 19103, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250369, an ordinance authorizing various encroachments in the vicinity of 2700 South 10th Street, Philadelphia, PA 19148, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250370, an ordinance authorizing an encroachment in the nature of a staircase in the vicinity of 1855 Gladstone Street, Philadelphia, PA 19145, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250377, an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 306 by striking from the city plan and vacating Brill Street from Richmond Street to Salmon Street, striking from the city plan and vacating Salmon Street from Brill Street to the northeasterly required right-of-way line of Bridge Street, and reserving and placing on the city plan rights-of-way for various public utility purposes, and authorizing acceptance of the grant to the city of the said public utility rights-of-way, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250381, an ordinance authorizing an encroachment in the nature of pedestrian lights in the vicinity of 416 through 38 Spring Garden Street, Philadelphia, PA 19123, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250382, an ordinance establishing parking regulations on the 1000 block of Ludlow Street between 10th Street and 11th Street under certain terms and conditions, respectfully reports it has considered the same and returns the attached bills to Council with a favorable recommendation. Bill number 250325, an ordinance amending subsection 9-203 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Street Vendors by permitting vendors licensed to operate on certain city streets from certain otherwise prohibited conduct, all under certain terms and conditions. And Bill number 250374, an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 115 East Girard Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19125, under certain terms and conditions, respectfully reports it has considered and amended the same and returns the attached bills to Council with a favorable recommendation. There are no further bills to report out from the Committee on Streets and Services, Council President.
Thank you very much. The Chair recognizes Councilmember Young for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading on this day of the bills just read into the record by the Chief Clerk.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit the consideration of these bills just read by the Chief Clerk at today's session of Council. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries, and these bills will be placed on our first reading calendar for today. The next order of business is the consideration of the calendar. I note that the bills just read from the committees with the suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had a first reading. These bills will be placed on the second reading calendar and final passage calendar for the next session of council. As there are no additional bills on the first reading calendar, the chair recognizes Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson for the purpose of calling the bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendars.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following bills and resolutions are being called up from the second reading and final passage calendars today. Numbers 250561, 250504, 250507, 250509, and 250510. The following bills and resolutions on the calendar are being held: 250303, 250444, 250505, 250266, and 250267.
Thank you. Before considering these bills and resolutions, we will consider public comment as follows. Your public comment must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendars for possible action at today's council session. All speakers must sign up in order to testify. If you have not already signed up for today's session, please do so now by giving your name to Ms. Hassan at the table outside the rails to my left. Once you have signed up, you will be called in an order in which your name appears on the sign-up sheet. Under ideal circumstances, public commenters will each have 3 minutes to speak. However, this time limit may vary from session to session. Today, the time limit will be 3 minutes. In order to be fair to all those wishing to speak, I intend to hold faithfully to the 3-minute limit. When you begin speaking, you will see a green light on the podium when there are 30 seconds remaining to your time. The light will turn yellow, which is your reminder to conclude your remarks. Once 3 minutes have passed, the light will turn red and the sergeant at arms will disconnect the microphone. At that point, please yield the podium to the next speaker if you have not done so already. I also reserve the right, pursuant to our rules of council, to limit repetitious comments on the same subject matter. I'm going to ask first for the mother of LGP Quadir Johnson, Ms. Tamara Davis, to please come on up. The aunt, Ms. Keisha Washington, and Philadelphia own Freeway, to please come on up to the microphone. Any other family members who are speaking on the resolution honoring the life and legacy of the voice of the youth, LGP Quad, Mr. Quadir Johnson. And please state your name for the record before you give your testimony.
Yes, so my name is Tamara Davis. I'm the mother of my only son, Quadir Johnson. And so I just want to thank all y'all for, having me here and everything. I just want to say that, so I want to talk to my son, but I just want to say my son was so loved by just his kids and myself and his family and friends. And I just want to say that it's so hard for me because I speak on a lot of this, and I'm like, I love animals, and I'm like one of them type of people. I always gave back and stuff, and with me and my son. And it's like, it's hard because I know my son, he had a charisma that would have lit this room up, His personality and stuff was, when he came, he was like, his heart was big. He always hit my heart. And my son always told me, I'm glad before actually this, the bombing we had on. So he always gave me, like, before all of this, like, Mom, I'm giving you my flowers here, before anything. And everyone that know how it always been me and my son, and I took great honor in it, and also my son did that too. Respect, first and foremost, God first. So it's hard for me. So I just want to say I love my son. thank y'all.
Bless you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Council. Good morning, Council President. Y'all know me. I've been here a lot of times, but this time is not a happy time for me. We really got to do better in our city, man. This senseless violence is getting out of control. Kwa was a good young boy. He had a good message, a positive message. He should be protected. He shouldn't have to go through those things in the city. We really have to do better. And as y'all know, and maybe some of y'all don't know, I lost my son in 2020 to these streets. And it's hard to talk about. I talk about my daughter. I lost my daughter to cancer. That's something that everybody can relate to. That's something that can happen to anybody. But I barely talk about what happened to my son. And I lost my son to these streets because he had an addiction. And we was fighting, trying to get him in a better place, and he was in a better place. And then one day, he just went left, and there was nothing we could do about it. No one is exempt from this. I'm a celebrity. I lost my son to these same streets that she lost her son to. And we got to do better. Whatever we got to do, we got to come together and do better, because this doesn't make any sense. People are losing their children every day to these streets. And it's rough. And that's one of the reasons why I started Freedom Thinkers Academy, to help young people do better and get off the streets. And I'm just one person trying. So if I can try, each and every one of us can try. We got to come together. That's what this the city of brotherly love. We got to show that. We got to come together and we got to do better. I'm so sorry you lost your son.
Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry. You got to put God first and stay strong. May God be in your corner. We in this together.
Yes,
we in this
thank you so
together.
much.
Stay strong.
I'm not going to be up here long. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kwa's mom's first cousin. It's just sad time for everybody. Like we said, everybody, y'all got to put these guns down. Nobody should die from gun violence, whether they're in the streets, not in the streets, whatever the case may be. Just put the guns down. And it's a shame that my cousin had to lose his life over the stuff that he rapped about every day on a daily basis. To rap about this stuff, breathe this stuff, this is all he talked about was the youth, the youth. You can read my shirt, you can read my cousin's shirt. He was the voice of the youth. He was the youth. And there's so many people that looked up to him, so many people that respect him, and it's going to continue even when he's not here. Once we put him in the ground and everything is said and done, I need y'all to still support. Please support, not just for her, other mothers that lost their children, like Freeway just said, and there's going to be more murders and more and more. We can't stop it, but we can try to do something. We can try to keep his name alive. And he has 2 children. His mother, this is her only child. And I was my dad's only child, so it's like he passed away. It's hard. But I just thank y'all. Like I said, once everything is said and done, just don't forget about her. Don't forget about the other mothers that's out here. They have to go through this. And it's jewelry, it's material. Point is, even if y'all took this man's chain, what were y'all gonna do with it? Everybody in the world, well, not world, but everybody know who that is. You can't put it on. You can't take a selfie with it. You can't go sell it. You couldn't do any of these things with that man's chain. And they took him on Mother's Day, so my Mother's Day will never be the same because I'm still waiting for my son to walk up the street and give me my hug. And they took so that's cool. Right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Hi, everybody. I am going to try hard as I can to hold back the tears. Number one, I want to thank Council President for making sure this resolution was here. I want to thank Councilwoman Bass, because when he was living, we celebrated him. And I especially want to thank my partner in crime, Councilwoman Brooks, because we knew that baby. I did some publishing for Kwai, and I'm going to tell you a story really quickly about him. He was more than a rapper. Our child, because he was our baby, showed up at colleges and talked about the violence in the street. He talked to children, high school kids in Chester, Pennsylvania. He stood out and gave one of his first endorsement check. Instead of spending that money, he gave it to his school in elementary school, Edward T. Steele School, $10,000. And he brought 300 Puma sneakers to those children. I pulled up on the avenue and I'm like, why are you out here on the street? Oh, we got to get water ice to all the kids out here, Nick. That's who Quadair was. He was more than a young man. He was a brilliant lyricist, but he was an advocate. He was a community leader. He wanted to pull Philly up. I told him sometimes you got to pull Philly up on your own first, and then you can do it. But the very streets he loved took him down. And my heart is broken. We have to do more. We have buried at least 40 kids in the last 10 years. I'm tired. So the accountability belongs to all of us, right? I have mercy. I pray for mercy on those kids that got out of that car and took that young man's life. Because their life is, if they don't understand what life is, they're about to understand. We have to do more. It is not just the job of city council. It is not just the job of our state representatives. It is the job of everybody sitting in this place, because when it's one person's problem, it's everybody's issue. We're running demons in the street. These kids need light more than Instagram posts, more than RIP. There has to be action. I am hurt. I would get up early in the morning with Quadair, and he said, Nick, what's good in the hood? What we doing today? We had interviews that he sat down and talked about what he needed and what he wanted to do. And everything in his mouth was selflessness. He wanted to make sure that he ran and got everybody up. We can't save everybody. But what we can do is make sure that Quadair's memory and his children, Philly will never forget him. We got to stop coming together like this. This is painful. This hurts. This hurts me. Because the neighborhoods that I grew up in, I still live in. I said I'm not leaving. Why? Because my accountability belongs to Philadelphia. It belongs to Nicetown. It belongs to Tioga. We got to stop playing, y'all. He died with a shotgun in his chest. He died in a hospital that has one of the most gunshot victims in the city. I'm tired of these bodies. Thank you, Council President, for always leading this charge for our babies. Help me. Help us continue to help us.
We will. Thank you. And to Ms. Tamara Davis and Nikki Bagney, and I think I could take a personal privilege to talk about in the near future. It's in Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young. Do you want to talk about it, Mr. Young, your next steps in terms of honoring the life and legacy of LGP Quad, Mr. Quadair Davis?
Thank you, Mr. President. We will be coming to that community, to talk to members around there, to honor his life by renaming the street after him. So just know that that's something that's coming in the future.
And that will be in partnership with your colleague, Councilmember Kendra Brooks.
Absolutely, with Councilmember Brooks leading the charge on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Will the Chief Clerk please call the next person? Let's give a mom another round of applause, y'all. Let's lift her up, show us some support. And one thing I know more than anything else, and what makes this particular issue very, very painful is because this was a young man of strong character. And for me, to know him was to love him just based upon how he gave of himself to really inspire these young people. And so if any of you out here who do not know who he is and kind of wondering why we're taking this moment to honor, uplift this family, just go online and look up his videos. And you'll see him speaking day in and day out with positive messages around trying to uplift his generation of young people. Chief Clerk, please resume.
I apologize if I'm repeating any names of people who spoke. Keisha Washington, Pastor Carl Day, Cynthia Johnson, Mayshana Williams, Nikki Bagby, Jeremy Blatstein, and Noam Osbin also make their way to the podium.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Blatstein. Last Thursday, our city suffered another tragic and preventable loss. Jeffrey Ishibashi, a 50-year-old cyclist, was riding his bike on Baltimore Avenue in West Philadelphia when he was struck and killed by a construction truck. He was riding in a painted bike lane without any physical protection when the truck turned across his path. This was not just an accident, it was the result of a city that continues to treat painted lines as protection. They're not. Protected bike lanes, those with physical barriers, dramatically reduce crashes and save lives. Jeffrey's death is a reminder that every day we delay building protected bike infrastructure, we put more lives at risk. Philadelphia must act now, not after another obituary. And just days later, we lost another Philadelphian to preventable violence. Kadir Johnson, known as LGP Qua, was a powerful community advocate and rapper who called himself the voice of the youth. He was shot and killed during a robbery attempt. LGP Qua dedicated his life to uplifting others, speaking out against gun violence, and promoting positivity in Philadelphia. Now his voice is gone, silenced by the very violence he opposed. He is one of the 3,000 people who have been killed over the last 7 years. It's time for change now, no more of the status quo. Whether on a bike or on a block, no one should fear for their life simply moving through their neighborhood. We must invest in safety, in infrastructure, in violence prevention, and in the people who are trying to make Philadelphia better. We owe that to Jeffrey, we owe that to Deere, and we owe that to every person who still believes that this city can change. And the last thing I'll say is, raise your hand, because we're talking about SEPTA. Raise your hand if you wrote SEPTA in the last week. We got some hand raises from the audience. SEPTA is so important, right? We need to make sure that SEPTA is funded. Call your congressperson, call Senator Picozzi, make sure you know how important SEPTA is. Ride the ride. Thank you.
My name is Noam Osband. I'm here to talk about the bills that Councilwoman Gauthier introduced about the protected bike lane on 47th Street. I've never given comment before. This is my first time, but I'll tell you why I'm here. This is a picture of my two kids. This is Dahlia and this is Zeb, although Zeb insists sometimes on being called Saquon Barkley because he's a good kid and he's a Philadelphia kid. And they're eating ice cream outside of the King's Essing ice cream store, which is on 47th Street, because that's right next to their school. I bike them to school every day unless it's raining cats and dogs. I feel safe biking them home because I go up 48th Street where there's a protected bike lane. I do not feel safe when I bike them to school. There is no good north-south bike lane that can get them to school. I have been hit almost a couple times. There was one time I remember specifically where I thought, like, is this gonna be it? As this pickup truck is zooming ahead of me to try to get a little bit ahead. And that was absolutely terrifying. In some ways, what seems almost sadder than the fact that or more depressing than there's no safe way for me to do it is I picture what they're gonna be like when they're older and they're teenagers, and I want them to learn to ride bikes. And then I think to myself, how am I gonna have them ride bikes in this city and in West Philly where I'm raising my family when there's no real safe way to do that? And that's really terrifying to me as somebody who really loves this city and somebody who is really happy to be raising their kids in this city. As the person before me talked about last week, there was a cyclist who was killed in West Philadelphia. They were in a bike lane, but it was an unprotected bike lane. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I think to myself sometimes when I'm on the bike every day, as I am with my kids, like, is that going to happen to me? Because there are so many places in the city where stuff almost happens, and I'm asking you guys to try to make it safer for Dolly and Lil Saquon, and I really want to thank our councilwoman who's been really thoughtful and a real leader about making cycling safer in the city, and take it home for them. Thank you so much.
May we also have Sade Nichols, Maxwell Saul, Jordan Teacher, Chris Aho, and Ebony McCoy also make their way to the podium.
Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. My name is Shayna Williams. I am the Director of Operations at the Attic Youth Center. Those who are not familiar, we are the only freestanding LGBTQ youth center in this region. Have been around for more than 30 years. I'm here to speak on the domestic violence, LGBTQ domestic violence, and just want to say that the Attic has done tremendous work in addressing what many of our youth experience in terms of domestic violence and in particularly intimate partner violence. I think it is important that we not only recognize the impact of violence amongst LGBTQ youth in general, but also what I like to say, the lack of response or under-responding when folks seek support. It is imperative that we recognize that our youth, particularly LGBTQ youth, already face so many more variables and barriers in terms of what they need to do to survive, particularly when they are ostracized from family and support. So I am here just to support the initiative and just to affirm that our youth, our LGBTQ youth particularly, and including Black and brown LGBTQ youth, need the support. Thank you.
Good morning, Council. My name is Cynthia Johnson, and I am the founder of Give Me My Roses, the nonprofit. First, I would like to start off with everybody please standing to give Kwa his recognition, please. Let's all stand, clap, and give Kwa his recognition for positivity, because this is what my nonprofit is about, positivity, giving us our roses while we're here. I am here today, thank you so much, thank you. I know it took y'all a lot to get out your seats, but thank you. I am here today because we opened up a Hope Museum. This Hope Museum is down at 1806 South Broad Street, and we came up with this idea in November. It is now starting to get some recognition. So what we did, wanted to honor Kwa. A week before his passing, we did hit him in the DM to come to be a spotlight feature at the Hope Museum. Let me tell you what the Hope Museum is about. It's a place where the youth can come to. It's a happy place. It's a place where they chant, clap for each other. We pray. It's not necessarily, but we pray there. We give roses to each other verbally. They all tell their meaning on the red carpet of hope. And that is so important because of everything that's going on out here in the world today. These kids need hope. And this is why we opened this Hope Museum. We also acknowledge adults to come, if you have an inspiring story, to come to speak to these children here at the Hope Museum. We did an exhibit on Kwa. We have a whole wall at the Hope Museum, an exhibit on Kwa. We recognized JoJo and the Broom Man that was with Gilly and the Eagles just a couple weeks ago, with the help of Mr. Philadelphia here in the audience. We recognized those two gentlemen. In that recognition, Gilly the Kid reached out and honored me, the founder, the Hope Museum, with this immortal. And I was so proud of this because, again, we're getting some recognition. So what I would like to do, oh, one more thing. Also, the Noggin Boss, which is the big hat that you all see Gilly wear, they are donating one of their hats to Qua. That's it? All right, okay, so with that said, the Hope Museum is here. If you would like to speak, Give Me My Roses is the website. Thank you so very much.
Council will be at ease. Sir, council is at ease. I'll let you know when it's your time to continue. Thank you very much. Sir, please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Max Saul. I live at 48th and Warrington in West Philadelphia. Not nearly enough streets in Philadelphia are safe and comfortable for pedestrians, bikers, wheelchair users, parents with strollers, and everybody else traveling outside and even inside of a car. Councilmember Gautier, your leadership on road safety and biker and pedestrian improvements specifically has been incredible. The recent changes on West Chestnut and Walnut Streets and 48th Street are groundbreaking examples for the city, beyond what I expected was possible when I moved to Philadelphia. So many of my neighbors have mentioned how much better their experience of 48th Street has been since the redesign. I never biked on 48th Street before, but now with the parking protected bike lane, I have an enjoyable start to all of my bike trips. However, there remains no safe option for traveling back home going southbound, so please advance bills 250266 and 250267 to improve safety for all users on 47th Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Start it again. Miguel, start it again.
Hello, my name is Jordan Teicher. I live on Larchwood Avenue between 50th and 51st Streets in West Philly. I'm here to speak in favor of bills 250266 and 267 to create a protected bike lane on 47th Street. Quick story to explain why. A few weeks ago, I had to take my 17-month-old son Ezra from my home to a morning pediatrician appointment at Chop Carabots and then take him directly to daycare at 42nd and Spruce. I need to do this quickly so I could get back to work as soon as possible. To make this journey, I could either drive, walk, bike, or take public transit. The fastest option would be to drive. That's 5 minutes to the doctor and 5 minutes to daycare. But I'm mindful of my environmental footprint, and it seemed wasteful to drive such a short distance. The second fastest option, by a little bit, is biking, so that's what we did.
I got my son in his seat, which is attached to my bike, and we rode over to CHOP, mostly using the protected bike lane on 48th Street. It was fast and safe. But coming back south from CHOP was dicey because there's no protected bike lane going south. We used protected bike lanes going east, but there were parts of the journey that were just unsafe. Philadelphians deserve transportation options that are convenient, sustainable, and safe. We shouldn't have to choose one priority over another. That's why I strongly support making 47th Street safe for cyclists and everyone else who uses the road. I want to thank Councilmember Gautier for her leadership on this issue, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Good morning, Council. My name is Chris Aho, and I'm here today to support Bills 250, 266, and 267, legislation that removes one driving lane from South 47th Street and replaces it with a separated bike lane. I live on a cul-de-sac which can only be accessed by 47th Street, and this project will have a significant positive impact on my life. The new configuration of the street will reduce dangerous speeding, improve crossing distances for pedestrians, and create a new high-quality bike lane that will be safe and comfortable for people of all ages and abilities to use. 47th Street is part of the city's high-injury network, and it is essential that these safety upgrades be implemented soon. In July of last year, my neighbor Lily Nat was struck while trying to cross 47th Street. The driver of that car had run a red light, and Lily died 2 weeks later. In the future, I would like to see these safety upgrades and bike lane upgrades extended along all of South 47th Street up to the Grace Ferry Bridge. This would create new bicycling access and help calm traffic in front of the Children's Community School, Johnson's Playground, and numerous homes and businesses. It would also improve the connection with the multi-use path on the Grace Ferry Bridge, which ties in with the Schuylkill River Trail, which is about to grow thanks to the new bridge. I want to thank City Council for hearing my testimony, and I especially want to thank Councilmember Gautier and her staff who have tirelessly engaged with the community about this project during the past 2 years. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, council members, colleagues, and members of the community. My name is Ebony McCoy. Today I stand not just as an advocate for lupus awareness, but as a living, breathing testimony of God's grace and resilience. I was diagnosed with SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, in November of 2017. It is a chronic autoimmune disease where the body's immune system mistakenly attacks its own tissues and organs. At the time, I didn't fully understand the weight of what that meant. Since then, I've battled flare-ups, fatigue, joint pain, and days where getting out the bed felt like climbing a mountain with no end in sight. But through it all, I've continued to show up. I show up as a wife, a mother, as a public servant, and as a warrior pressing through with a smile. And above all, I show up as a daughter of the Most High God, sustained by His grace and clothed in His strength. Lupus is an invisible and unpredictable disease. I can look perfectly fine on the outside while crying out in pain on the inside. But I give all glory and honor to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He has kept me thus far and carried me through the storm and continues to equip me daily. There's a quote that resonates deeply with me. She wore her scars as her best attire, a stunning dress made of hellfire. Because behind every scar, there is survival. Behind every ache, a purpose. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to my minority leader, Kendra Brooks, and the whole Team Brooks squad. Thank you for leading with compassion, for championing this resolution, and consistently showing care, not just for our physical, but for our emotional, mental, and spiritual health. And I want to give a shout out to Lupus, the Lupus Foundation of America, for everything that they do within that organization. And to my husband and children, my family and friends, thank you for holding me up, praying for me, loving me through the highs and the lows. Your support has been my anchor. If you know someone battling lupus or any chronic illness, send some extra love to them today, because we may not always complain, but this battle takes its toll. And although we may have shortcomings, God has called us victor, not victim, and we are worthy to walk in that promise every single day. So I leave you with this scripture, 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. But He said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." Thank you.
May we have Virginia Hogben, Kate Perez, Lynn Landis, Paul Birdsong, and David Alexander Jenkins make their way to the podium.
I'm Lynn Hogman, a resident of the 4700 block of Windsor Avenue, speaking in opposition to Bills 25266 and 25267. I want to call to City Council's attention critical relevant information concerning 47th Street, the street that these bills seek to radically alter. These bills have been presented, the choice of 47th Street for a bike lane as opposed to other suitable streets that could provide a safe southbound or northbound bike lane, has been presented as a safety issue, that there is a safety problem with 47th Street. That is simply not true. 47th Street is not a street that PennDOT has found dangerous. I have brought with me and given to the Sergeant of Arms for distribution to City Council copies of the pages of the state safety assessment that list all the streets in Philadelphia that the state has found dangerous. 47th Street is not anywhere on that list. While Otis has classified 47th Street among many, many streets in this city as high injury network, examination of Otis's own map shows that this is based on a total of 3 accidents, none of which was in the area south of Baltimore Avenue and north of Kingsessing, and none of which involved bicycles. Indeed, they show substantially more accidents on Kingsessing, which Otis does not classify as high injury or seek to disrupt. In addition, Otis's classification was based on data before installation of speed bumps on 47th Street, and there's no evidence that there is a safety issue that is not remedied by the speed bumps. Moreover, Otis has now disclosed that it intends to remove 20 to 40 parking spaces in the area of Windsor and Springfield because of peculiarities about that intersection that make it uniquely unsuitable for reducing lanes and installing a protected bike lane. That sort of destruction of parking would not have to happen had another more suitable street been selected for the bike lane. This major reduction in parking creates its own safety issues by forcing residents to park blocks away from their houses at 10 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning, endangering their safety. It also negatively impacts the quality of life when people do not feel comfortable that they can get back to their homes safely. Please don't damage neighborhoods based on inaccurate safety information. We should make our decisions based on true, accurate information. And the tragedy with the bicycle accident last week, that is a horrible tragedy. It was an intersection collision. Protected bike lanes do not prevent intersection collisions. They prevent side collisions between intersections. We have to address safety in all respects, but we need to address it accurately. Thank you. I urge you to vote against Bills 25266 and 25267.
I'm Kate Perez, and May 15th is Nakba Day, commemorating the catastrophe in 1948 when Zionist militias massacred Palestinian villages and expelled 700,000 Palestinians who are still waiting to return. The Nakba never ended and has only since escalated. On mental health, we have children who were brought medically evacuated from Palestine to Philadelphia hospitals because there is no medical infrastructure left in their own country after the IOF took their arms and legs and then systematically dismantled the entire medical system, taking hospital staff hostage, currently holding more than 10,000 Palestinian civilians, at least 1,000 of them being children, hostage in prison camps. On Mother's Day, the new pope said, "May a ceasefire immediately come into effect, may humanitarian aid be allowed into the civilian population, and may all hostages be freed." Pope Leo is calling for aid to enter as it's day 74 of the complete blockade, with more than 60 civilians dying from forced famine since the 2nd of March, and 84 civilians killed just yesterday in airstrikes. Watching massacres every day and knowing that we pay for it at our expense weighs on our mind. Tuesday, I told you our sister city bombed 2 hospitals in 24 hours, claiming the European hospital had Hamas tunnels and then caught in a lie by submitting images of a nearby school. Yesterday, the IOF was evacuating patients from the Al-Shifa hospital and 5 nearby UN schools to be bombed, sending hospital patients down a dirt road mid-surgery. 3 hours ago today, they bombed the Al-Tauba medical clinic in Jabalia refugee camp. The bombs could have come from us.
Hey, Ms. Perez, just a little bit on mental health awareness.
It's on my mental health, knowing that I pay for it. These bombs could have come from us. Dan Zimmerman is their sole provider of the 3 most used munitions. It's weighing on me that they sit comfortably on Spring Garden Street. There's actually going to be another protest against them today. Tomorrow, Jewish Voices for Peace is demanding a meeting with Stacey Garrity to get rid of our state genocide bonds, and we're still waiting for the city's divestment resolution. We have Palestinian students in our school district that are banned from wearing anything representing their heritage. What does that do to the mental health of a child whose homeland is denied at all levels? Their own teachers leak personal information without punishment, and the city they live in partners with and sends weapons to an occupying state that has destroyed every single kindergarten, middle school, UN school, high school, and university in their country. Philadelphia has to cut all ties with Israel. We need an arms embargo, and we will see a free Palestine.
Lynn Landis, Paul Birdsong, David Alexander Jenkins, Obama Hagens, and Roy Azen.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Landis of healthalertphilly.org. I support Councilmember Harity's resolution declaring May Mental Health Awareness Month. And to that end, I strongly suggest that the City Health Department stop urging parents to give their children vaccines, all of which have been linked to serious harmful health effects, including an epidemic of autism, attention deficit disorder, and other mental and physical ailments. In fact, all medications and medical procedures should go through a much more rigorous scientific testing, including antidepressants that can cause depression, including suicidal and homicidal thoughts. The public might also reconsider its use of alcohol, nicotine, caffeine, marijuana, and other mind-altering and addictive drugs, not only because of their widespread harmful health effects, but also because of the damage done to the general population, particularly young children, because our water is not filtered for drugs. So our minds and bodies are all being adversely affected by the drugs other people take. Our U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has committed to taking Big Pharma to task for the dangerous drugs and medications that are on the market today. And I sincerely hope that both Democrats and Republicans fully support him in his efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Paul Birdsong. Earlier, I saw city council members stand up there and talk about predatory practices and regulation and fair housing and stuff like that. City Council President Kenyatta, I wanted to make you aware that the Panther Party, and I asked our secretary just to make sure I had the numbers correct in the hallway. She said, we received yesterday our 18th call that someone has put a for sale sign in front of a house that did not belong to them, and that they went to some room here at City Council to try to show pictures when the people weren't home, to try to claim that property illegally and take it from the homeowners. The Panther Party keeps getting called about this. Now, I'm pretty sure you know how we're going to respond, and I'm pretty sure there's another way you'd like that to be responded to without us getting involved. So I think as you guys work on all of these oversight committees regarding housing, that's something that you should take into consideration, maybe a task force to work on stopping people's houses from being illegally seized by these predators. Before the Panther Party feels the need to get involved on behalf of the people, I'm sure you guys have a much more peaceful way of handling it. You know what I'm saying? So the other thing, Quadir Johnson shot with a shotgun over a chain. Right? I want to speak to the youth of Philadelphia. I spoke to a 22-year-old young man in Crown Chicken on Broad Street. He had a F&N on his hip. I said, that's a nice gun, brother. I got one of those. And I said, you got a license? He said, no. I said, how old are you? He said, 22. I said, you got felonies? He said, no. I said, hey, man, you should let the Panther Party buy you a gun license. This is $25 online. You don't got to walk around committing a felony and feel like you're protecting yourself. You could get a gun license. You could responsibly protect yourself and your community. I'm going to tell you this real fast. There's a brother named Brother AK-47. He used to rob stores. He's a Christian minister now. He went into the store in Des Moines, Iowa, in this predominantly black community. And in that, when he ran in the store, he said, I knew that there was a security guard with an AR pistol, and I wasn't scared of him, right? But when I went into this store, I saw a lady with a hip belt with a gun on it, a legal one. I saw another lady digging through her purse, and she had a gun. I saw another lady, the cashier, had her purse right here and a little pistol mounted right there. There was a bunch of brothers walking around with guns on their hips and holsters that were clearly visible, meaning they were licensed, they were legal. He walked in that store ready to rob and saw all those legally armed black people and turned around and went right back out because he knew he wasn't going to make it out of there alive because that community was going to protect itself, right? I encourage everybody in the city of Philadelphia, right, who can legally arm yourself and protect yourself to do so. Go online, get a gun license, and do it the right way, right? When in a community where people are legally armed that can protect themselves, things like what happened to Quadir Johnson go down because people are afraid to do things like that in a community that can protect and stand up for itself. And the Panther Party is willing to pay for the gun license of any young man who wants to get his gun the right way. We also offer gun safety courses for free. All power to the people.
We have David Alexander Jenkins, then Obona Hagins. May Roy Azen, Amir Barber, and Helen McCrary also make their way to the podium.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members and guests. David Alexander Jenkins. I rise in support of Resolution 250507 as introduced by Councilman Harity. Leaning on the gravity such of an awareness over a month of dedicated to mental health will bring to the city of Philadelphia. I stand here on the shoulders of greatness, particularly in the spirit of my grandparents, Dr. Charles Hyde Debnam and Dr. Patricia Turner, whose life work was centered on mental health as pioneers in the national landscape of dignified treatment, all-encompassing care, and mental health awareness. It is they who have created the champion of humanities forced upon you weekly in this public comment, so blame them. And they, whom haunt my thoughts from beyond the grave and direct my tongue to rest upon issues of homelessness, with knowledge that a large portion of the city's homeless population suffers from untreated mental illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, PTSD, and substance use, opioid and substance abuse crisis, where in 2023 alone, Philadelphia lost over 1,400 lives to drug overdose, with more than 80% of them linked to untreated mental health conditions. Our emergency rooms and police departments are overwhelmed by mental health-related 911 calls, repeated ER visits, and police interventions. Our school performance and dropout rates are significantly aided by challenges like undiagnosed ADHD, anxiety, and depression. We incarcerate the mentally ill at an alarming rate, with 17% of incarcerated people having been diagnosed with a serious mental illness, and 40% of the incarcerated population prescribed psychotropics. This makes our jails de facto mental ill health facilities where mentally ill inmates otherwise who pose no real threat to society are kept like animals. Poor mental health leads to a loss of productivity, a loss of jobs, difficulty maintaining meaningful employment, which is directly related to the extraordinary rise in our eviction rate. In a city where suicide and self-harm is the leading cause of death among young adults, where 1 in 5 adolescents has considered ending their own lives, 1 in 5 people, where gun violence prevails as a primary tool of conflict resolution, dismantling our communities, bringing many of us here today to tears as we reflected on the murder of Quadir Johnson, whose mission addressed these very issues. The importance of mental health awareness cannot be overstated. So it is that I beg your passage of this resolution with acknowledgement and gravity of the crisis we face. While reaffirming our commitment to address it, let us elevate conversations around mental health. Let us honor those working on the front lines of this battle of the mind. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Helen McCrary Salahuddin. I am out of order if you're going down the list. I'm sorry, but the brothers, and I thank you for letting the sisters go first. I'm here in support of the resolution to, thank you. I'm here in support of the resolution to rename the 400 block of South Broad Street to Teddy Pendergrass Way. I am the attorney for Teddy Pendergrass, the estate of Teddy Pendergrass Enterprises, and his widow, Joan Pendergrass. That resolution is being voted on today, and Mrs. Pendergrass asked me, this is Regina Farrell, she is our legislative guru. She led us through this process, and I want to thank her. And I have a message here from Mrs. Pendergrass, who lives in Florida and is unable to be here today, and she wanted me to read this to you. Good day, Council President, esteemed council members, honored guests. It is with a full heart and deep emotion that I stand before you, Mrs. Joan Pendergrass, to offer my sincere gratitude. Though Mrs. Pendergrass could not be here in person, she's asked me to speak on her behalf and express what this moment truly means to her and her family and all who loved and admired her late husband, the legendary Teddy Pendergrass. Today's vote to rename the 400 block of South Broad Street Teddy Pendergrass Way is more than an official act. It is a deeply moving tribute to a man who gave his heart, his soul, and his voice to this city and to the world. Teddy was Philadelphia's own, born here, raised here, and proud to live his entire life in the city that shaped him. It was here, just steps away from where we stand now, that his iconic voice helped define the sound of a generation. From the studios of Philadelphia International Records to the global stage, Teddy carried Philadelphia in every note he sang. This honor is deeply personal for Mrs. Pendergrass as well. It is the fulfillment of a dream to see Teddy's name and legacy permanently etched into the very streets that inspired so much of his life and his music. Thank you. She wants to thank each of you, council members, community leaders, and every person who supported this effort, not only for your vote, but for the recognizing the immense contributions Teddy made, not just to music, but to the cultural identity of Philadelphia and to the heart of millions around the world. Teddy's legacy is not just in his songs, it lives in the joy he brought to others, the pride he had in his hometown, and the love he shared with all who knew him. Though he has transitioned, his spirit remains here and now. His name will forever stand as a beacon of inspiration on the very street where his story began. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Obona Hagins. I'm a fourth-generation chattel slavery survivor. I appreciate Councilman Harity's resolution recognizing May as Mental Illness Awareness Month, because if we're really being honest, what's been going on in this chamber for the past few years is definitely mental illness. The Reparations Task Force started nearly 2 years ago. No updates.
Mr. Obama Hagan, you know, I enjoy you coming every day, but the insinuations, the remarks about this body, could you just focus on the resolution that talks about
I am. This is all relating to mental illness.
Yeah, but in terms of your comment saying the work that this body has been doing is mental illness is totally inappropriate.
So you're,
I just want to say that for the record,
so
sir.
I'm just asking you, are you violating my rights to free speech?
I told you the same thing like I did last time. If you think I'm violating your speech, you know the appropriate way to address it. I do have the right to address your comments regarding the operation of this body.
You have
and
the
you
right.
have the right to address it how you think so as we move forward.
There's mental illness going on in this council chambers.
And
So
again,
I'm
like I
speaking
mentioned
about-
to you, sir, you can cut him. Are you speaking on the topic of the resolution, sir?
Get to it.
Okay, proceed.
Get to it. I can't just say mental illness all the
I
time.
said proceed, sir, or you won't be speaking at
We
all. Now,
have
how you want to
issues.
handle it?
We have issues in this council chambers. such as the Roadmap to Safer Communities, that specifically says that the root cause of gun violence is structural racism. This body has done nothing to address that study that was done in 2021. That's mental illness. We have the young man, Quad, who was murdered, gun violence, mental illness in this chamber by not addressing structural racism as the root
You know
cause
what? I
of
think
gun
your
violence.
comments are inappropriate. You can cut him, sir. There will be no more comments from you today, sir. Address it how you see appropriate. Address it how I said address it. Thank you very much. Please call the next person, please, for comment. Thank you very much.
We have Roy Azen, then Amir Barber. May Carlene Kirkpatrick and Tanya Hitton Green also make their way to the podium.
Please proceed, sir.
Good morning, council and neighbors. I'm Roy Eisen. I live, walk, bike, and drive along South 47th Street, and I strongly support bills 250266 and 250267, which would designate a protected bike lane on South 47th Street. We need real safety measures like this to prevent more violent crashes in our community and to support a healthy, accessible, and growing mode of transit that many residents avoid for fear of being killed in a crash. Signs and lane striping are not enough. In addition to safety improvements for all who live or travel along South 47th Street, this change would help foster a thriving and prosperous community. This beautiful, welcoming, mixed-use corridor does not benefit from drivers' ability to drive fast along South 47th. It benefits from pedestrians, bike users, and drivers feeling comfortable and free to safely move around this area. Philadelphia has among the highest rates of traffic fatalities of any major city in the country. Every traffic death and injury is preventable. While this may not be the most dangerous street, this is our opportunity to ensure it gets better. Every additional measure taken to calm traffic and protect vulnerable road users is a step in the right direction. We absolutely must continue to move in that direction. Thank you, Council Member Jamie Gaudier, for introducing this bill and working to create safe and thriving communities.
Thank you. Sir, you have 3 minutes. Take your name for the record, please.
Mr. Motivate the Youth 215. Thank you for being in the chambers today, sir.
Thank you very much. I
And
thank
thank
you
you
for
for
having me.
all the positive work that you are doing and the positive work that you are doing to bring a sense of positivity, not only to our young people, but lifting up the spirits of the city of Philadelphia and also providing opportunities for our young people to flourish. So thank you for joining us. Please proceed.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, council members, community members, and honored guests. My name is Amir Barber, better known on social media as Motivate Youth 215. My fault, I'm a little emotional because quiet mom, quiet mom, when I hugged her, it's like them chills. So many younger people in Philadelphia, man, like, it's just sad, but I'm gonna proceed. First, I would like to recognize Bonnie Johnson and Sanara Hudson for straight A's every year in high school. Can y'all please give them a round of applause? That's not just black excellence, but that's young, black, and beautiful excellence in Philadelphia. I stand here today with deep gratitude and an even deeper sense of responsibility. I accept my citation not for myself, but on behalf of every young soul we lost to gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. Names like LGP Quad and the many others who never got the chance to grow into their purpose. They were more than victims, they were visionaries, they were artists, leaders, and light. Their lives mattered, their dreams mattered, and their absence leaves a silence that echoes in every corner of every neighborhood. Today's recognition means something. But not just because of the loss it represents, it means something because of the legacy it continues and it connects us to. Legacy. We are standing in a chamber the chamber shaped by warriors, black city council members who didn't just hold office but held the line. Men like Cecil B. Moore, who fought unapologetically for justice and desegregation in Philadelphia. Women like Augusta Clark, the first black woman elected citywide, who championed education and civil rights into her final days. Leaders like John Street, who took the fight from the streets to the seats of power. Legacies remind us that black leadership in this city has always been rooted in love for the people and a willingness to confront injustice head on. They didn't wait for permission, they acted. And because they acted, we are here today with the platform to continue that work. This work is urgent and it cannot be done in isolation. It demands the same change, courage, same unity, and the same vision that our civil rights leaders brought to this very council. To the young lives we buried, we carry your names, your pain, and your promise. And we will not stop until your legacy becomes our city's transformation. As we prepare to bury the voice of the youth, let the echoes of his character speak loudly all over the city. Come on, Philly. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlene Kirkpatrick, and we proudly support Councilmember Brooks' resolution and deeply thank her for honoring the lupus community and shining a spotlight on this often misunderstood and invisible illness. By recognizing May 10th as World Lupus Month in Philadelphia, Councilmember Brooks and City Council are helping to affirm the voices of thousands living with this disease and moving the city closer to a future of compassion, equity, and improved healthcare access. This recognition is more than symbolic. It's a sign that our struggles are being seen and that our advocacy is making a difference. I am a lupus advocate and ambassador. I was diagnosed with lupus in 1991, and I've endured the ups and downs of my lupus journey. This resolution means so much to us in the Philadelphia area and across Pennsylvania. Raising awareness of lupus helps people get diagnosed earlier and helps people with lupus receive access to the care and treatment they need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, thank you for having me. My name is Tanya Hinton Green, born and bred here in Philadelphia. I thank you for being a part of a significant moment as we gather to recognize May as Lupus Awareness Month in our city. Today, we have taken another crucial step in raising awareness and extending support to those affected by lupus. As an ambassador, support group leader, and advocate with the Lupus Foundation of America, I am also a proud member of Lambda Sigma Sigma Lupus Sorority Incorporated, which is the first sorority for women with lupus ages 18 and older. I have dedicated almost 30 years to battling lupus myself. I am honored to stand with you in advocating for change. Let's remain united in our efforts to elevate lupus and recognize and understand that today and for future generations, together we can bring hope and foster understanding for everyone impacted by this condition. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Council President, there are no further names for public comment.
Thank you very much. We will now consider the bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendar. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250461?
A resolution also naming South Broad Street between Pine and Lombard Streets as Teddy Pendergrass Way to honor the life and legacy of South Philadelphia legendary entertainer Teddy Pendergrass.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion regarding resolution number 250461.
Thank you, Mr. President. As an honor and a privilege to introduce this resolution, and also to what it meant to the city of Philadelphia for Teddy Pendergrass' voice and soul that he gave us and all the enjoyment. I'd like to have a roll call vote for this resolution. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that Resolution 250461 be adopted. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilmember Gautier.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas.
Aye.
Councilmember Landau.
Aye.
Councilmember Young.
Aye.
Councilmember Brooks. Aye. Councilmember Harity.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Rourke.
Aye.
Councilmember Driscoll.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilmember Squilla.
Aye.
Councilmember Bass.
Aye.
Councilmember Ahmad.
Aye.
And Council President Johnson.
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250504?
A resolution renaming the 4700 block of Rising Sun Avenue between Wyoming and Masher Streets to Officer Loretha A. Baird Way in honor of her bravery, sacrifice, and dedication to public service.
The chair recognizes Councilman Gilmore Richardson for a motion regarding resolution number 250504.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Councilmember Lozada, I move the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that resolution number 250504 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250507?
A resolution declaring the month of May as Mental Health Awareness Month in the city of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Jim Harity for a motion regarding resolution number 250507.
I move for the adoption of the resolution, Council President.
It has been moved and properly seconded that resolution number 250507 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250509?
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 423 through 27, 429 through 39, including 429 through 39 rear, East Ashmead Street, 226, 260, 278, 313, aka 313 through 315, East Bringhurst Street, 49 East Earlham Street, 4635 Germantown Avenue, 30 Good Street, 5608, 5618, 5619, 5642, 5669 High School Street, 4946 Keisel Street, 5514, 5515, 5642 Morton Street, 6672, 6674 Musgrave Street, 53 East Pastoria Street, 207 East Penn Street, 248 East Phil Helena Street, 42 and 44 Rieger Street, 35 East Seymour Street, 227, 261, and 263 East Shartneck Street, 218, 326, 342, and 343 Shadaker Street, 4951, 4957, 4961, and 4975 Sheldon Street, 111 and 112 East Springer Street, and 4925, 5222 Wakefield Street, located in the 8th Councilmatic District in accordance with the terms of Chapter 16-700 of the Philadelphia Code.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Bass for a motion regarding resolution number 250509.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that resolution number 250579 be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250510?
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1520 through 40 Venango Street and 1600 through 20 Venango Street, located in the 8th Councilmatic District in accordance with the terms of Chapter 16-700 of the Philadelphia Code.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Bass for a motion regarding resolution number 250510.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that resolution number 250510 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read any additional resolutions in her possession for today's calendar?
A privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia City Council Committee on Education to hold hearings to investigate challenges and make recommendations for a strategic plan for the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts, introduced by Councilmember Thomas on behalf of Council President Johnson.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. On your behalf, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Would the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution declaring May 21st, 2025 as Frank Kamini Day in the City of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Landau.
The Chair recognizes Councilmember Rue Landau for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing May 28th as LGBTQ+ Domestic Violence Awareness Day, held globally every year to shed light on domestic, family, and intimate partner violence in the LGBTQ+ communities in the City of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Introduced by Councilmember Landau.
Chair recognizes Councilman Rue Landau for a motion on the resolution.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Seconded. Was there a second I heard? Thank you. Majority Leader Richardson and Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young. It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Would the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution declaring May 16th, 2025 as National Honor Our LGBTQ+ Elders Day in the City of Philadelphia, a day to recognize and celebrate the contributions of the LGBTQ+ elders who have been pivotal in the fight for justice, equality, and rights for every member of the LGBTQ+ community, introduced by Councilmember Landau.
Chair recognizes Councilman Rue Landau for a motion on the resolution.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution declaring June 2025 as Pride Month in the City of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Landau.
The Chair recognizes Councilman Rue Landau for a motion on the resolution.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Council be at ease. Member Harry, would you like to be recognized? No, I'm sorry. Okay, your button is on.
It was for speeches, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I know you will go first. I see your name lit. Chair recognizes Chair recognizes Chief Clerk. Please resume.
A privileged resolution honoring the life and legacy of Quadir Johnson, known professionally as LGP Qua, a Philadelphia rapper who used his platform to speak out against gun violence and became widely recognized as the voice of the youth, introduced by Councilmember Young on behalf of Council President Johnson.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Young, and then we'll do a silent vote. Chair recognizes Councilmember Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Chief Clerk, please read the title of the next resolution.
A privileged resolution recognizing the month of May 2025 as National Foster Care Month in the City of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Young.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing May as Lupus Awareness Month in the City of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Brooks.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Brooks for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution honoring the election of Pope Leo XIV as the 267th Pope and celebrating his connections to the Philadelphia area, introduced by Councilmember O'Rourke.
Chair recognizes Councilman O'Rourke for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do move for the adoption of that resolution.
It has a moving property seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution proclaiming May 2025 as Dual Asian American Pacific Islander and Jewish American Heritage Month in Philadelphia to pay tribute to the rich history and significant contributions made by a generation of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders and Jewish Americans to our country, Commonwealth, and city, introduced by Councilmember Driscoll.
The Chair recognizes Councilmember Mike Driscoll for a motion on the resolution.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has a moving property seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs to hold a hearing to explore strategies for incorporating youth voices in Parks and Recreation Advisory Councils and decision-making processes, introduced by Councilmember Bass.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Bass for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has a mover property seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution authorizing the Special Committee on Child Separation and the Committee on Health and Human Services to hold a joint hearing to investigate the recent provisional licensing status of the Philadelphia Department of Human Services and the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Services Center, and to examine the implications of alleged misconduct, breaches of confidential information, and overall child safety within Philadelphia's juvenile detention and child welfare systems, introduced by Councilmember Bass.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Bass for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of myself and my colleague who co-authored the resolution, Councilwoman Nina Ahmad, we both call for the adoption of the resolution.
It has a moving property seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing and celebrating the 2025 Philippine Independence Week celebration in Philadelphia, taking place from June 7th to June 21st, introduced by Councilmember Ahmad.
The Chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has a moving property seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the Chief Clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
There are no further resolutions in my possession, Council President.
That completes our calendar for today. Any speeches on behalf of the minority? The Chair recognizes Councilmember Kendra Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. In recognition of Lupus Awareness Month, I want
Member
to...
Brooks?
You can't hear me?
Could you speak in the microphone, please, for the
All right,
recording?
got it. Thank you, Council President. In recognition of Lupus Awareness Month, I want to acknowledge the many Philadelphians who live with lupus. Lupus is known as the invisible illness because it does not have obvious outward symptoms and is difficult to diagnose. Lupus Awareness Month is about shining a light on this invisible illness and recognizing the strength and resilience of people who live with it. Over 90% of the people diagnosed with lupus are women, and one of them is Ebony McCoy, and she's a member of my team. In the face of this illness, Ebony shows grace, fortitude, and a commitment to raising awareness to people with lupus so they don't have to suffer in silence. Thank you so much, Council President.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. President. The bombing of MOVE wasn't just a tragedy, it was a moral failure. It destroyed homes and lives, and today we honor the lives that are lost and recommit ourselves to remembering this painful history, not to reopen wounds, but to ensure that they never actually repeat. And we owe it to those lost, the survivors, their families, and to future generations to keep telling this truth. So I want to thank my colleague, City Councilmember Gaultier, for introducing a resolution a couple of weeks ago, declaring May 13th, 2025, the MOVE bombing a day of reflection and remembrance in the city of Philadelphia. Her commitment to remembering this history is a powerful reminder of the work that we must continue to do. which, as uneasy and queasy sometimes as it makes us feel, I actually personally appreciate the relentless reminder that Kate Perez brings of the humanitarian crisis being imposed upon Palestinians in Gaza as we speak. Bombs over Philly, bombs over Palestine. There is a moral mandate and a civic responsibility to remember and to care and to continue to do all that we can to, as the scripture says, follow peace with all men. Peace being the point and word and focus of the sermon that Pope Leo did lift up in his very, very first sermon in his first Sunday as the Pope. Today we honored him and his ascendancy to the papacy as he mentioned in his speech the opening words of the risen Savior when he rose from the grave. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. It is important for us to recognize the moral clarity that is being articulated across this world now through the papacy of Pope Leo. I'm thankful to my colleagues, Member Harity, Member Driscoll, Member Squilla, Member O'Neill, and all others, Member Thomas as well as all others who join with us in making sure that we continue to echo our pride in this. The city of Philadelphia takes pride in recognizing the profound connections that the Pope has to our region and celebrates his election as a moment of joy and reflection for Catholics across the city as well as beyond. His election not only marks a new chapter for the global Catholic Church, but also brings honor to the communities, including those in the Philadelphia area that helped nurture his journey of faith and leadership, that his message of peace would also reach us here in the city of Philadelphia, as many of us have already given voice to the loss of life, too much of it, in this young man that we have all honored today. I'm praying for my minority leader who knew him personally, helped raise him, advocated with him, among many other things, as well as all of us who I'm sure share in his grief. That there might be peace realized in our city is my prayer today. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Member O'Rourke. And as we celebrate our new Pope who comes from America, and I'm just so pleased that he recognizes that will be known for generations to come, the greatest basketball player who've ever lived on the planet Earth by the name of Michael Jordan. And so I'm sure that great debate as it moves forward will be solidified in people's minds by our Pope recognizing the outstanding, most dominant basketball player who ever walked this planet. So thank you very much for that resolution. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Any speeches on behalf of the majority? The chair recognizes Councilmember Jim Harity.
Amen. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, everybody who signed on today to the Mental Health Awareness Month bill resolution. We all know somebody or have somebody in our family who suffers from mental illness in some form. So I thank everybody for helping me to draw awareness to it. Also, just would like to mention for my colleague, Chairwoman Ketsi Lozada, the Special Committee on Kensington will convene for a hearing regarding the best practices in substance use disorder, Resolution 240760, authorizing the Special Committee on Kensington to convene and explore the best practices in substance abuse disorder outreach and to investigate the effectiveness of the current methods used by the City of Philadelphia and its partners. This will be held on Friday, May 16th, 2025 at 12 p.m. right here in the council chambers, 1400 JFK Boulevard. Thank you all. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you very much, Council President. I wanted to take the opportunity to remind all of our colleagues and team members that your office is hosting the Gift of Life program briefing after session today at 1:30 in the caucus room. So we are imploring each office to please attend the briefing at 1:30 today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Councilman Rue Landau.
Thank you, Council President. Today, I was pleased to present 4 resolutions that look ahead to Pride Month in June. It's a time of celebration and a time of reflection. While this is my second Pride Month as an elected official, declaring June is Pride Month in the city of Philadelphia still feels like a privilege as the city's first openly LGBTQ plus council member, and one I will never take lightly, especially as our community faces new aggressive attacks at the federal level. More on that in a moment. I'm also excited to declare Frank Kameny Day in the city of Philadelphia. May 21st would have been Kamany's 100th birthday, and for those of you who might not be familiar with his name, Kameny is one of the parents of the LGBTQ plus rights movement in America. He received his Bachelor's of Science in Physics from Queens College, a Master's of Science in Astronomy from Harvard, and a PhD in Astronomy from Harvard. He also was an Army veteran. In June of 1957, he started his dream job as an astronomer with the U.S. Army Map Service in Washington, D.C. But in October 1957, he was fired from his job and barred from future employment in the federal government because he was gay. A background investigation that uncovered information about Kameny's homosexuality led to his firing for quote-unquote immoral behavior due to his sexual orientation. Rather than shrink back, he fought back. He became one of the first to challenge the government's anti-LGBTQ policies in court, took his case all the way to the Supreme Court, and later organized some of the earliest public protests for gay rights outside of the White House and right here outside of Independence Hall. His bravery helped lay the legal and cultural groundwork for generations of activists who followed, including those of us working in city government today. I should note that he never succeeded in his legal challenge, unfortunately, and was always barred from federal employment, but really worked as an activist to make sure the message was heard. As the first openly LGBTQ plus member of City Council and former head of the Human Relations Commission, I stand on the shoulders of Frank Kameny and so many others who refuse to be silent. My time at the PCHR was in part defined by defending the rights of those who were being discriminated against at work, and Kameny opened the door to allow some of those protections. Declaring May 21st as Frank Kameny Day is not just about honoring our past. It's about reminding ourselves of the ongoing fight for dignity, equity, and full inclusion. Let this day serve as both a tribute and a call to action as we continue to build a city where all of us can live and love freely. I also introduced a resolution naming tomorrow, May 16th, as National Honor Our LGBTQ Plus Elders Day, and I believe I fall in that category at this point. Our queer community elders' bravery and activism forged a path for LGBTQ plus youth in the years following them. It was their goal to envision a future free from stigmatization and discrimination and create a safer space for the next generation. My office is holding an LGBTQ plus senior expo at the John C. Anderson Apartments next month with State Rep Ben Waxman's office, and I encourage any of my colleagues and constituents to please reach out to my office for more information and any interest in joining us. And finally, I introduced a resolution declaring May 28th as LGBTQ plus Domestic Violence Awareness Day in Philadelphia. At the national level, LGBTQ plus adults and teens are more likely to experience intimate partner violence than their heterosexual cisgender peers and are less likely to find resources to support them. 1 in 4 LGBTQ plus youth experiences intimate partner violence. This day is about increasing visibility about this issue and encouraging victims and survivors to seek the support they need. To close and bring all of this together as we officially declare June 2025 as Pride Month here in the city of Philadelphia, we do so with full recognition that this year's celebration carries a deeper urgency. With renewed attacks on the LGBTQ plus people coming from the highest level of federal power, including from a presidential administration intent on rolling back our rights, our visibility, our joy, and our resistance matter now more than ever. Pride has always been rooted in protest, and this year we recommit to that legacy. Here in Philadelphia, we're working to make it clear, no matter what happens in Washington, we will protect our communities, uplift our histories, and keep fighting for a future where everyone can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilman Jeffrey J. Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. So today I just want to announce to the city and to the residents of the 5th District a few events that is happening. So we're going to start with the Girard Avenue Festival is this weekend, this Saturday, May 17th from 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. This will be on Girard Avenue from College Wall to 29th Street. It is produced by Park to Broad Arts and Business District, formerly known as Fairmount CDC, my office, State Senator Sharif Street, and also State Representative Keith Harris. So if you are in the area, please stop by. Again, 11 to 5:30 this Saturday in Burytown on Girard Avenue. Also this Saturday is also Founders Day at Girard College. So any Girard College alum, please come back to Founders Day. It is the class of 2005, 20-year anniversary. On May 21st, the Committee on Transportation and Public Utilities will be holding a hearing to discuss the inner city bus terminal. So if any constituents out there want to come and express, some of their feelings regarding our city's inner city bus terminal situation, please come down to City Hall on May 21st at 2 p.m. where we'll have this hearing to discuss this very important issue in our city. On May 27th, we will bring to you Your City, Your Budget Town Hall to Hope Partnership School, 2601 North 11th Street. That's 11th and Huntington. Again, May 27th, the Your City, Your Budget Town Hall at Hope Partnership School. It is in partnership with, of course, Council President, Majority Leader Catherine Gilmore Richardson, Majority Whip Isaiah Thomas, and that is from 6 to 8 p.m., again, May 27th. Also, this Sunday, May 18th, is the deadline to apply for the City of Philadelphia's Career Connected Learning Program. What this is paid work for youth between the age of 12 and 24. So if there are youth out there looking for paid opportunities, please visit phila.gov/C2L-PHL, or you can give them a call, 833-750-5627. To the listening public, the Philadelphia Activity Funds grant application is out, and that deadline is May 31st. So if you have a nonprofit organization, you're looking for some funding from the City of Philadelphia, particularly if you're in the 5th Council District, please visit philaactivitiesfund.org to apply for a Philadelphia Activities Fund grant application. So that gets my notes out the way. Mr. President, today, was a little somber in here because we have the family of LGBTQI in here, and it's another mother's pain that I got to look at, and it just saddens me that, again, we have these preventable deaths through gun violence. I'm honored to be a part of your gun violence special task force, so we can really take a look at some of the issues that really create this epidemic that we have called gun violence. And hopefully what comes out of this is that we create our own Vision Zero for gun violence, because gun violence is a preventable death. I want to thank my colleague, Council Member Kendra Brooks, today for introducing a resolution regarding lupus awareness. And people probably think I make these stories up, but when you're a real person, you deal with real things. My wife's closest friends, 2 of them, have lupus. One which right now is in the hospital battling her condition right now. So Monifa McCoy, I'm thinking about you and I'm praying for you while you're in the hospital right now. So these are real things that happen, to real people. Today I also introduced a resolution, honoring National Foster Care Month. We all know what's been happening in our child welfare system here in the city, but we have to, pay homage to those who step up to rear children as foster parents. And so I just wanted to, put that out there. Growing up, most of my best friends were in foster care because there was a woman on our block who always had boys around my age. And sadly, because of mental health issues and other things, it was three young men, and neither of them are here today. One committed suicide, one was murdered through gun violence, and one died of an overdose last year, right? So, we have to really address the issues that are happening in our city, in our foster care system, with our mental health systems, to really address, the root causes of it. Like putting Band-Aids on things will not help what we experience as a city on a daily basis. We have to find real solutions to this. And lastly, Mr. President, today I introduced a bill that would clarify, what type of dangerous weapons are prohibited in the city of Philadelphia, particularly around spring guns and air guns. And the premise of this legislation is because every recreation center I go to throughout the summertime where there are, young boys playing, I see them shooting these Orby guns and these gel blasters at each other. And, those things cause real violence. And so we want to let the parents know that those types of air guns, compressed air guns, are still illegal. Although they might not be shooting hard BBs as they're known, but they are still pellets. And so this legislation would clarify that the pellet, whether it's a liquid, a solid, or any particular matter, or guns that shoot those types of things, are illegal in the city of Philadelphia. And the legislation also makes it clear that certain types of crossbows and things like that are illegal to sell to minors in the city of Philadelphia. As we look to keep our city safe, we have to do things that keep things out of the hands of our youth, because again, that it can lead them on the wrong path. So thank you, Mr. President, for indulging me today.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilmember Cindy Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, Dr. Nina Ahmad and I introduced a resolution calling for a joint hearing between the Special Committee on Child Separation and the Committee on Public Health and Human Services to investigate the recent provisional licensing status of the Philadelphia Department of Human Services and the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Services Center. And when we talk about, my colleague just finished talking about experiences with young men in the foster care system, we just cannot overlook the importance of this moment, and here we are yet again. And so the state's downgrade follows serious allegations of unauthorized access to confidential child welfare data, potential retaliation against whistleblowers, and reports of abuse and misconduct in juvenile detention. Now, we know on a federal level that unauthorized access to confidential information and retaliation and whistleblowing, these are things that we often talk about in this chamber in a different context when it comes to what's happening really in Washington right now. So at the same time, we cannot overlook or ignore when a very vulnerable population here in the city of Philadelphia, are being affected by these very same sorts of actions, and it really requires each and every one of us to stand up and speak out about it. These are not just administrative issues. They are violations that strike at the heart of our moral and legal responsibility to protect the most valuable among us, our children. We must act, and this resolution seeks not only answers, but accountability. It demands transparency and reform to restore the public's trust, and we owe that to every child whose safety and dignity has been compromised in our care. My second resolution authorizes a hearing to explore how we can better incorporate youth voices in the decision-making process of our parks and recreation system. I spoke to students at Palumbo this week, including my own daughter who's a student, and these inspiring young people are not just users of our public spaces, they're stakeholders with lived experiences, creative ideas, and a deep understanding of what their neighborhoods need. Yet, too often, their voices are missing from the tables when decisions are made. We can't continue to shape programs and policies for youth without youth. This resolution is more than about civic engagement. It's about equity, inclusion, and building trust. If we want safe, responsive, and thriving public spaces, we must empower our young people to help us lead in that vision. Palumbo High School students have already shown us that the interest and leadership are there, and now it's time for all of us as a city to create the space, and I urge all of you to support this important step toward meaningful youth inclusion. It's desperately needed, and we need to make these spaces safer, and again, we cannot make decisions for the youth without including the youth. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Isaiah Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good afternoon. Most of my stuff was already taken. I was just going to send a few reminders as well. One reminder that I wanted to put out there was that Tuesday is election day, and we want to encourage everybody to make sure that they make a plan to vote this Tuesday. I know myself, my colleague to my right, and my colleague to my right, we all have 3 different important measures that will be on the ballot. Ballot questions number 1, 2, and 3. So when people make your plan to go vote this Tuesday, please do not forget the ballot questions. This weekend we'll be doing another barbershop talk. We've done a number of initiatives, whether it's trips for high school students, visits to high schools. You know, the same things we all did last year to push people to come out to vote. This year's election is just as important, especially when I listen to some of the issues that my colleagues talked about around young people separation and things like that. A lot of those decisions are made by a judge. And that's one of the important things we'll be voting for, along with the ballot measures that myself and my colleagues put on the ballot. So please make sure you make a plan to vote. As I close out, Council President, I just want to thank you for your leadership, as well as Councilmember Young and Councilmember Brooks, listening to everything that you guys talked about with LGP Just on a personal level, I'm a big hip hop fan. Anybody who follows me on social media, I do not hide it at all. And, you know, I'm old now, 40, so my taste in hip hop is very different. I'm sorry, in the world of hip hop, that's old. So my taste in hip hop is very different than what the young people listen to today. But I feel like LGP was an exception to some of the music that we would consistently hear from young people coming from his generation. You know, I try to compare his generation to my generation, and even for me growing up, you know, I think the closest person I could come up to is maybe Cassidy, right? Like, you don't really see many young people with the lyrical ability that he had, while simultaneously putting a positive message there that really inspired you, that made you think about the social ills that we had as a city, like these institutional problems. I don't even remember when the mayor got elected. He even threw her in one of his lyrics. And so that's how conscious he was. So when I first heard about his passing, the young person was so positive that I thought it was, my instincts was like, oh man, I hope it wasn't like a car accident or something like that. Because I never would have thought that it would involve what it actually involved, because that was literally the opposite of how he lived his life. So I just wanted to offer my thoughts and prayers to his family. And then also, Council President, in the midst of us convening around gun violence and young people and some of the things that we do, we gotta really take in consideration the trauma of this generation, right? A couple years ago, they lost PNB Rock. Right, PNB Rock getting killed out on the West Coast, that was a big deal. We also lost Fat G's. Fat G's was another young person who I actually watched grow up in the city of Philadelphia playing basketball. Remember when he was in high school? And for him to get to the point in his life where he was trying to do positive stuff and then he ended up getting gunned down, we gotta recognize that for a lot of us growing up, outside of the pandemic and ghost guns and all that stuff, the trauma of seeing your real life heroes being gunned down puts a ceiling, whether conscious or subconscious, puts a ceiling on what you feel like your trajectory is as it relates to your future and your life. So I'm heartbroken, Council President, I really am, but I'm optimistic because of your leadership and the people who we work with in this legislative body, that we know the problem and we'll continue to work to address what we call preventable deaths here in the city of Philadelphia. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Member Thomas. The chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you to my colleagues for all their speeches today, because Just picking up on what Councilmember Young said, Vision Zero for gun violence deaths, Vision Zero for accidents and oversight and outright criminal activity in our human services sector. We can do this if we have a body like this who are focused on making sure we are solution-oriented. And today I joined my colleague, Councilmember Cindy Bass, to express deep concern and shared commitment to do better in understanding the circumstances that led to the provisional licensing of our Philadelphia Department of Human Services and the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Center. As chair of the Committee on Health and Human Services, I recognize the complex and important work being done by our child welfare and juvenile justice systems. At the same time, the recent reports of unauthorized access to confidential data and other concerning practices call for a thorough and transparent review. These are serious matters that require our full attention to ensure we are safeguarding both the integrity of our institutions and the well-being of the children and families they serve. Additionally, findings from the Philadelphia Youth Ombudsman and local media, and thank you, Fourth Estate, for keeping us on our toes, for doing the digging to get this information. It is critical. I see them as partners to do the work, that they have resources to do that we don't sometimes, so I appreciate that. And they have raised questions about conditions at the detention center. It is our responsibility to listen carefully, gather facts, and work collaboratively towards thoughtful reforms that center child safety and care. You know, it is more than about casting blame or it is really about upholding standards we all believe in, transparency, accountability, and commitment to continuous improvement. Our children and families deserve nothing less. I also wanted to make a reminder to this issue of human services. We already have a hearing for Human Services on June 6th at 10 a.m. And we're putting our panels together and invite the public to that. And there's a public notice that's already out there. I also want to remind folks that tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah. Tomorrow, we have a special committee on Kensington that'll convene for a hearing regarding best practices in substance use disorder outreach. This is resolution 240760. And on behalf of our leader in this special committee and Kensington Caucus, Councilmember Katsilazada, I hope all of you will attend and share with us your thoughts and experiences. And finally, I wanted to just speak on the resolution that I introduced today, which is recognizing and celebrating the 2025 Philippine Independence Week celebration. This is still, May is still AAPI Heritage Month celebration. And the reason why these resolutions and recognitions are important is to really talk about the diversity in Philadelphia. This mosaic, this American mosaic that we are tightly bound together is really important for all of us to recognize each other, what we bring to the table. And so it is a great privilege for me to recognize folks that some people don't see sometimes. And I want to make sure we all understand we're pulling together for a better Philadelphia. So thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much. As there are no more speeches, I just want to say I am truly honored and privileged to work with the hardworking members of this distinguished body. Some may measure our work by resolutions, some may measure our work by bills introduced, but I know for a fact that the work we are doing is having a positive impact, specifically focusing on change, changing the system, addressing issues of injustices in all different areas, and so it should never go unnoticed, the work that all of you are doing, each and every last member of this body. So continue to keep up doing a good work, speaking truth to power, and addressing the issues that's very near and dear to you as well as the constituents in which we all represent. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilmember Isaiah Thomas for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Council President. I move that council stands adjourned until Thursday, May 29th, notice the date, until Thursday, May 29th, 2025 at 10 a.m.
It has been moved and properly seconded that council stand adjourned until Thursday, May the 29th, 2025 at 10 a.m. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you all very much.